Hey everyone, today is Thursday, the 3rd of December, 2020. This is The Gap, episode 545. I'm Luke Lawrie. Joab Gilroy is here. It's December, Joab.
It's the last month of the year.
We were just talking about it then. We've got maybe 3 podcasts left after this one.
Yeah.
It's come by quick. It's been a quick year.
Yeah, weirdly quick, because you'd think it'd be slow.
Yep.
You know, because terrible things are always slower. But
Right.
2020, I feel like it's belted through. I think it was a bit slow for a little while. While we were in lockdown, it felt like the minutes dragged into hours, and the hours dragged into days, and the days dragged into weeks, and weeks dragged into months, and all of time seemed to stretch and pull like a good bit of melty mozzarella in a fucking pizza. But yeah, happily, this shit show over here is nearly finished.
Right.
Unhappily, it's provided some oddities in the sense that I won't be here next week.
Mm-hmm.
I'm going up to Queensland. They've opened the borders to Greater Sydney, so I got to go up to Queensland to see my dad, and so yeah, that's gonna be a bit weird. I suppose that means you've got more podcasts left this year than I do.
Yeah. That's okay though, because I think technically you've probably had more than me anyway.
What overall?
Yeah.
So it must be close. It's got to be close.
Someone's got to go back and count it all.
Single digits, yeah. But yeah, doesn't matter. Still going to be what we've got left for this year is going to be awesome because shit.
Yeah.
Next week is going to be a belter. I don't know who you're going to talk about it with, but oh lordy, it's coming.
Yeah. So next week's Cyberpunk, right?
And then the week after we'll do a bigger Cyberpunk because we'll have had even more time with it.
Right. So it's actually out next Thursday. Is that right?
Yes.
I'm trying to, because I get very confused about the dates between the two of us. I'm trying to look at the dates here. Anyway, so it is out at the end of it next. It should be out. Well, it will be out before we record next week's show, and we're hoping by then we've had some time to play it.
Yeah.
We're not 100% sure yet, but we'll see what happens. And then the week after that, we'll just go full ball like we've been playing for a week.
It will be the Cyberpunk podcast.
Yeah, I don't think there's going to be much else on that.
It seems unlikely.
Yeah.
Yeah. As long as it is as good as advertised, it seems unlikely. But all signs shake the magic 8 ball. All signs point to it's gonna belt. But yeah, until then, I mean, it's not like there's a shortage of games out at the moment, so we've got lots to talk about. Or the games that I've been playing are extremely fucking long. So I have a shortage of games played.
Yeah.
But I've been playing them a lot.
Right.
But yeah, you've got some stuff on this list.
We got some stuff on this list.
Straight in.
Yeah, last week I talked about Monster Train.
Yeah.
I jumped back in. It was kind of like my podcast game at that stage, and so I was I played a little bit of it. I was quite surprised that they added in a bunch of new champions into each of the decks that they've got. I think that happened around about October ish, so about a month or 6 weeks before. And so and then you jumped in and started playing some.
Yeah. Basically everything you were saying about it sold me on giving it another look. You were 100% right. They've made such good changes to the game. Like, it seems like all of the changes they made have just really improved how healthy a game it is.
Yeah.
How like the decision making that is required to succeed has been really buffed as a result of every single one of the changes. And there were definitely like guarantee win conditions before, or I felt there were with certain races like Umbra, Hellhorned, or Umbra Awoken, where sort of like you could very easily get your guaranteed win condition really early, and if you didn't get it, you sort of knew you were fucked.
You're right. Yeah.
But now, like, I had to, based on what you were saying last week, I had to go in. I went in and played Umbra Hellhorned, and I had to, like, when I knew I was fucked from the get-go, I'm like, okay, don't quit. Normally, like, playing at launch, I would have quit with the stuff I had.
Yep.
But don't quit. Play it through and see how it goes, to see if you can actually construct something, because at least that way I'll get to see what is available in this these new decks and what of the tweaks they've made give us. And
because it seems like there's a lot of balance that's
Exactly.
going on. I've had a lot more success winning games than I have losing games. What is going on? Did someone just cyberpunk your house? Is that what's happening?
We're cyberpunk now. Holy fuck. That is really bright. Why is it so bright? It looks oh my lord. Sorry, my plant light just came on. It's on a timer. So that it just runs at all the time. I'm growing basil. It's growing really well, but
everything's pink. You're sitting in like Twitch's headquarters or something, and that is that's what it looks like inside.
Apparently, purple light is fantastic for plant growth.
Okay.
Yeah.
Fair enough.
I don't know about my growth, but I'm okay with it.
Yeah.
Anyway,
balancing things like that. I think they've done a better job, because I've just found that I've or at least like scaling it so the difficulty sort of ramps up, because you got those covenants and they don't really like at the start of that game, when you put like Covenant 1 or Covenant 2, it's supposed to give like the enemies more damage or more health, things like that. It kind of put like they'll put cards in your deck that aren't playable just to sort of screw you around. But I found that it's a lot easier now that they've done a bit of balancing there.
Yeah, that was the problem that I was having way ago, was that I felt that with Umbra and Hellhorned, or Umbra and Awoken, I could theoretically play all the way through to, was it Covenant 25, I think was the max. And I didn't test it because it was literally just doing this one win condition over and over and over again. But I could do it, and I looked through all of the Covenant ranks to see what like challenges they provided, and I couldn't see anything out of those challenges that necessarily stopped this win condition from playing all the way through. But with these balancing changes, that's no longer the case. And what I think they've done is they've sort of changed the curve on it a bit. So that really early on, the early covenants don't do that much, but they stack a lot. And I think that is where the once you get to 5 or 10 is where you begin to see real challenges. I didn't have any problem winning my first game where I was testing the new balancing, but I found coming at 10 stumped me. I actually know like that, but that's the good thing about these deck builders, is that if you can analyze how you fucked up, then you can make the required changes and fix it. And that's like, I know how I fucked up that run. And I mean, at the end of the day, a deck builder is always going to be, I can see Luke now.
Yeah, I fixed it.
Yay. At the end of the day, a deck builder is always going to be sort of a little bit RNG, right? You're always managing RNG, but I think I know how I would manage the RNG to beat Covenant 10 now. and that's obviously a good thing. You know, that's the appeal of a good deck builder, is that playing through and taking on the new challenge and seeing if you can do what you need to get past it. I think they've turned, like, I think Monster Train at launch was good, not great,
Mm-hmm.
and it was like entering an arena where they were matched up. It was like making a Souls game, right? Like, where you're making a new Souls game. It's not, you're not From Software. You know what you want to do with it. You're inspired by Souls, and you want to do something that lives up to the majesty that is From's efforts on the Souls games, and then you make it. And the problem you have there is that you might make a good game, right? From everything you spoke about, if I recall correctly, the Surge 2 was a good game, right?
Yeah, it was good. Yeah,
But it wasn't
they also
great game, right?
no,
That's
they do really cool things, like they put new ideas into the formula. It's not like a carbon copy, but also you see the things that From Software does so well, and you're like, oh, okay. Obviously, they don't have the fucking budget of like a PlayStation backing them and things like that, but you see the stepping stones, right?
Yeah, and that I think that's my point, is that they made a good game with the Surge 2. I didn't play it, but according to you, they made a good game with the Surge 2. But it's entering an arena with a series of fucking great games. It's entering an arena that is fucking where Goliath stand.
Yeah.
And the Surge 2 isn't David. And I think when Monster Train launched, it was entering an arena where the Goliath was Slay the Spire and it was no David. But now, I don't think it's David yet. I don't think it's going to slay that spire, but I think it's Dave. We could call Monster Train Dave, happily. Old Dave-O. And he's got his sling. He doesn't know how to use it yet, but he's getting there. I think they're fucking close. I think they've done something pretty fucking great with these edits. I would still mostly play Slay the Spire because I feel like it's easier to pick up and play, like pick up and put down. It's easier for me, but that is a degree of in-depth game knowledge that I think is an unfair advantage for Slay the Spire, in the sense that I've played 100 more hours of Slay the Spire than I have of Monster Train.
Mm-hmm.
And so it's easier for me to immediately recognize what is going on in a Slay the Spire game as opposed to a Monster Train game. That's not Monster Train's fault, except for the fact that it came out after Slay the Spire. And that is the challenge that it will always be up against, is trying to catch up to something that has had years of head start. Nevertheless, yeah, if you didn't get into Monster Train earlier, absolutely check it out now. If you enjoy deck builders, you'd be crazy to fucking... Oh, and the fucking challenge. Speaking of challenges, hey, they changed the challenge system to exactly the way we said it should work. And I did a Google on this, Luke, when I fucking realized I did a Google and nobody else fucking asked. So
nobody else asked for it.
Nobody asked for it the way we did. No, they did basically what we said they should.
Do you want to explain that?
So basically what we were saying was, I recall when it was coming out, there was like a pre-release journo competition where the PR dude, DJ Dougie Johns, put out a challenge. And what I was saying they should do, what we were saying, because you had a lot of input on tweaking this, what we were saying they should do is basically DJ had put out this version of it where he got to play through it until, the way the challenges used to work was you would play through a challenge and then you would put it to everyone else, right? and that was basically you do the challenge. It'd basically just be you do a run, and that would be your challenge. And so the like you basically just pick your best run and put it forward to people, right? You're like, oh yeah, beat my best fucking effort, right?
Yeah.
What we were saying should happen is you should set the parameters first and then put the run out to people without having played it, because otherwise you can play it and play it and play it until you found one you're good at. I know theoretically you could still do that this way, but if you were to put out the challenge first, right, without any scores being listed, then people would know that you haven't somehow found a run where you're extremely good. And the other change that we said they should do is like tweaks, mutators, and they did that too. And yeah, so now in the challenge system, you create a challenge by basically you pick the races. Do you pick the champion? I don't know if I can't remember if you pick the champion. I think the player gets.
I think you.
Oh no, I think you pick the champion. Yeah, you pick the champion, and then you select some mutators like from a list of them. It can be anything from like everyone's got like half health, or all enemies got double damage, or something like that. Everyone's got spikes, some shit, and then you go through and you set it out and you offer it forward to everyone, and that's it. Everyone plays it at the same time. We did a test on it. I chucked it on the Discord. I fucked up and bailed out at the second boss. I died at the second boss. Oh no, it wasn't even the second boss. It was like the fight after the second boss. Basically, I screwed up and I made a pretty grave error in actively selecting for all enemies to have spikes from the get-go. When my entire playset was glass cannoning,
right?
And so everyone died. And the other thing was I was playing I selected the new wax hero, and I had never played it before, and I didn't really know how to play it very well. So I didn't make the most of my opportunities. I actually went back and did that run again after you walloped me. I think you did like double my points.
Because you died on that one, right? I think you died at like 7 or 6.
Yeah, just after the second boss.
Yeah.
And I went back and did it. I still didn't beat your score. I think I was like 1,000 short. But like knowing how to use that hero was extremely helpful in the early stages, as opposed to just sitting there and watching my fucking thing get walloped on.
She's the one that does like whenever she dies, she gets plus. I think at the start it's like plus 25 damage and like 1 extra health. But she also has an extra like charge, like you have to pay an extra mana to play her. And so you kind of get her killed like 4 times straight and then stick her like at the back of your units at endgame. It just like she like 2 hits bosses. It's just dumb.
Wallop. Yeah, exactly. Yeah. But that was good. Like I put the challenge out there and then I fucked up and I got walloped on it. And then you put a challenge out there. And the other thing is we were doing like all buff mutators. Like I think you got an artifact after every fight.
Yeah.
My one, you got to eliminate, or you had to eliminate a card after every fight. Like
I did one that was like 2 times. It was multi-strike, but I didn't realize it was also multi-strike on the enemy. Like the enemy would have multi-strike. And so the first, like I got in like the second level. I was like, I'm going to get fucked. Like this is going to ruin me. And I think after like the 3rd or 4th match, I was like, no, actually this is working out okay. And then I got to like round 6 or something. And that boss was so close to killing me. and I
one
just
with
made it.
like the multi-strike boss, or
I can't remember which one it was, but it was really close to killing me. Oh, I think it was one. And I might be wrong about this, but it's a nitpick that I do need to make. I'll make a note of it. I'll talk about it later. But anyway, I got really close to dying, and then after that, it was like so easy, which was why I was surprised you beat me on that one by like 150 points or something like that. It was like really close. But
it
then I
was
looked at the time.
almost.
You took an extra like 25 minutes. That is horse shit. There should be a time score
You
on
got
top of that.
fucking points for time. Get
Yeah.
the fuck out of here. Get the absolute fuck out of here.
Hey,
First of all,
we know they're
I
listing.
walked away
We know
from
they're
my
listing.
game.
I want my time score.
Shiny Shoe, do not give us a time score. But yeah, I walked away from my game and went and had dinner. So I do not think it was that drastic a difference. I think it probably would have been a lot closer if I hadn't abandoned midway through and just left the game running. But the other thing is, I beat you. I went and looked at the fucking scores, and I think I beat you by like fucking the amount of gold I had. And then I went and looked at your fucking dude.
Yeah.
Like your setup, and you'd like spent all this gold buffing those fucking train stewards.
The train, yeah.
And I just had them. I just fucking held on to all my gold, and
Yeah.
that was the score at the end that gave me the fucking win.
Dumb.
That is what you get, bitch.
That's what we're changing. We just started watching the Queen's Gambit on
on
Netflix. Yeah, and that's what I want. I want a clock. I want a clock on there. Set a time limit. You get an hour, or like you get
There's probably a mutator for that. Like yeah.
That's what I want to see.
Or Hell Rush, right? We can just
Hell
Rush is the one as the time limit. Yeah.
Anyway, so yeah, that's we put up a couple challenges. I don't think anyone was playing except for you.
No, yeah. That's okay.
But anyway, that game's on sale at the moment as well. If people want to check it out, because it is a very underrated. I feel like it's an underrated game. Slay the Spire has a lot more followers, and I don't know. I really like Monster Train. The one thing that I do not like about the changes that I've seen recently is there's a fight in this game where there's an enemy that every time it hits you, it saps. What the sap does is it basically drains like an sorry, it's not sap, it's ember drain. Every time it hits you, you lose an ember, and ember is what is basically like your mana, your mana cost. So at the start of each round, you get like 4 mana or 4 ember, and then each card you play a card, and that costs maybe like 2 ember. But what this enemy does is it saps the ember from you, and every time it hits you, it puts like a counter on that character. And this specific enemy has sweep as well, and so it gets on the bottom floor of your train. It fucking sweeps your stack of dudes. It's got a ton of health, and all of a sudden you're -3 mana or 4 mana, and to start the round, and then it moves up to the next floor, and it does the same thing again. And it's like, what the fuck am I supposed to like? I don't know. I don't go looking on community forums or threads on like how do you counter this? But like I just don't know how to counter this dude. And whenever he shows up, he's fucking destroyed me most of the time because I can't play cards anymore. The whole, and I think that's just bad design. Like the whole point of the game is playing cards, and this one thing stops you from playing cards.
You're just supposed to kill him before he gets to attack. That's all.
But if I don't,
shows up,
but if I don't, I don't have a spell build or something like that, then I can't deal with him. He's at the back. If he's sitting at the back, just sweeping my characters, and by that stage, it's too late. I'm fucking done.
That's your problem.
Yeah,
he doesn't do that much damage. He literally just ember drains. So you can like if you can just fucking dodge him, just let him go up to the fucking the pyre.
Yeah, but he shows up like 2 times during that boss fight, and I'm like, well, not boss fight, but that level.
The trick with that dude is to literally just kill him before he gets to attack. Or
I think he shouldn't have sweep,
or don't put that many people on the level that he's on. If he's only like he doesn't do enough damage for it to be that big a problem, so you can just do enough damage that he dies to the fucking pyre really quick. Or yeah, if you've only got 2 people and you can hit him with a couple of spells, then you're Gucci, as long as you don't fucking spell shield or augment or whatever the fuck for some fucking dumb reason. Yeah, like that's the thing, right? Like my bigger problem with it is that he's coming. He's always coming, right? I don't think I've played around where he hasn't shown up, and I think that's a bigger problem than him existing at all, because it means you can literally just build knowing he will show up at some point. So you could put quick and sweep on some fat dickhead in your team, or you put quick multi-strike and then like kill the person in front of him, or like quick and shove, or use a card to shove him up to a different level, or like there's loads of different ways you can deal with him. I think it's a big problem that he's fucking coming. I don't like I haven't had that. Like the first time he got me, it was a bit of a crotch punch because I had a really, really, really tight hand. Like my deck was, I think it was like, might have been 13 cards at that point. I had like yeeted everything except for the fucking essentials. And so basically it was me cycling through morsels like at the speed of fucking light. And then he comes in, whacks everyone.
Yeah.
And I go to the next hand and I've got like a hand of those create a morsel. And I'm like, fuck. So I can't do anything in that one. And he just goes on to the next level. And then he got to the level below the pyre, the 3rd level. I'm like scrambling to actually do something to stop him. And I'm like, hang on. He's just going to die to the pyre. Fuck it. I just leave it. And I just left it. And he died to the pyre. And it was
but my problem was that he'd come in with like 2-3 other people, and then each floor like would just keep stacking people on. And by the time I'm playing like Covenant 3 or something like that at this stage, I'm not an expert at this game, but they would just destroy my pyre. And I couldn't do anything about any of these people. He just caused so much damage.
How are more people stacking in on the other levels?
Because he would move up, and then a bunch of people would come down the bottom, and they'd either be killing my guys down the bottom because he comes in pretty early, and so just the build I was playing.
In the first wave, like literally the first wave, but I don't know, man. Like, what the fuck is your what have you constructed if everyone on the fucking first level is dying of fucking trash? Like,
because I think I'm playing Ember. Sorry, I'm playing like blue. I think I was playing blue something.
So waxies.
Yeah, the wax guys, and their whole thing is like dying, like putting cards down really quickly, like low level cards.
Oh, and you gotta spend the card to keep reform them, right? Yeah.
And so if my main champion dies, like she can't come back anymore. Like that's it.
Yeah, that's so, that's fair.
Anyway, I was using her quite a lot. Maybe I should try something else. But I seem to be having quite a lot of success with her when I could get past that one dude. Otherwise, he's a nightmare. You been trying any other champions at all,
or? I've tried. I haven't tried the green one.
Mm-hmm.
The green alt champion. I never really liked the green deck at all, so I just haven't done it yet.
Okay.
But the magic one, I gotta fucking look it up. I remember the magic one having some fucking cool powers, or like building out into something pretty good. But
yeah, I think that's the one where they create like shards, and every time you get a token, she like does a bunch of damage, or he, I can't really remember.
Yeah. Yeah, like you wind up doing all this fucking crazy passive damage. And I was doing the frostbite one. I love my frostbite on the magic one.
Yeah,
and every time she gets so she gets all these shards, and then every time she takes a hit, she like applies frostbite to every enemy on the same level, and the only real challenge there is keeping her alive long enough to actually take some hits. And you wind up in this situation where you've got like a choice. You can either try to like take as many hits as possible and apply as much frostbite as possible, or just deal with the fact that you'll probably only get a bit of frostbite off, but she'll have so many shards that if she gets hit once, she's like they're fucked, and that's what you wind up doing with her, and it's pretty good. Works out pretty well. I can't remember who's the new fucking Umbra one.
It's like that. Gets eaten by other characters, and I think it's called like Buffet. The special.
Yeah, right. I did not. I did not like. I failed so fucking quick with that guy. I don't know how to use him at all. I haven't worked it out, to be honest.
I feel like it's a thing where you stick him like at the top. You give him a bunch of like just keep feeding this dude, and then as it starts getting towards late game, that's when you put another like big bad card up the top and just have him be eaten a bunch of times.
Yeah,
I think maybe that's how you use it. I don't know. I've only played it once as well, but yeah, I think that one takes a bit of like thinking about like the strategy behind it. That's kind of something again where you have to play around with it a bit. It's not as simple just by looking at it.
Actually, I did play as the green one. I haven't played as the Hellhorned alternate. I'm looking at the wiki at the moment, and the green one is like every time he's summoned, he adds stings to his hand, and he gets sweep, and the other one is he has quick, and he can make everyone else on his level with him quick. And that one's pretty fucking goofy. If you combine the when summoned as Sting and enchant quick together, you wind up in a situation where nobody fucking lives, because the Sting, they're like a 0 cost card that does, I think it's like 10 damage. It's not that huge, but it is something. More importantly, it adds like damage to his attack and adds quick to everyone else on the fucking that same level. You just put someone beefy in front of him and just keep fucking casting spells. And yeah, that one is hilariously simple. That one might be too powerful, to be honest.
Right, I haven't played that one yet.
Yeah, that one's a good one. I haven't played the Awoken alternate. Sorry, the Hellhorned alternate.
Right. Yeah, she's the
Scorpion chick.
Yeah, she's like imps. You basically just go all out with imps and stick imps right in front of you, and for every imp that you've got, she does a bunch of damage. So that's a good like build for if you're just running imps, which that deck has quite a lot of them in.
I think I saw with the other, or maybe just playing Hellhorned as my second. I've seen like a lot of cards that are like for every imp that has died, do something. So maybe she's got some power. I don't usually play a lot of imps, so
yeah,
give her a run. Still got to work out the Umbra alternate, but otherwise, no, it's just good changes. I just think they've done a really good job.
Yeah. All right, that's Monster Train. It's actually not on sale anymore. It finished when that Steam sale ended. But I'm sure if you keep your eye out in the next couple of weeks, once the Christmas sale kicks in, it might end up on there as well. And it's definitely worth a look at, because I think we both enjoy it quite a lot.
Yeah. It's one of my favorite games this year. Like it was already definitely top 10 because it's been a pretty fucking light year, but it's actually higher now. So we'll discuss that in a couple of weeks.
Yep. All right. Something I picked up during the sale was The Walking Dead: Saints and Sinners,
Yep.
which is a VR game. I've been hanging out for this one for a while, and yeah, haven't been able to play it. I'm having some massive issues with
Oh,
my VR headset. Um,
okay.
and basically, what was going on was like this weird, like stutter every once in a while.
Yeah.
Um, and that's quite disorienting you've got a VR headset on because it just makes you not feel great. And so I
Yep.
did a bunch of like uninstalling the Oculus software, reinstalling it, setting it back up again, trying different USB ports, like reading forums and like other people having not like maybe similar issues, but also these were issues that were like a year ago type thing, and people like trying to solve the same sort of problems. But for me, it was strange because I'd used my headset recently when we were playing Phasmophobia, right? And I couldn't really think about what I did since then. And the one thing that came to mind was my Windows update that I talked about recently. I did the big like um, the big I think it was the May update or something like that. Anyway, it was to basically get ray tracing working in World of Warcraft, which needed that update. And so I ended up like uninstalling that update and like rolling back my Windows to that version before then. Um, and then I did the like reinstalling all the drivers for the headset, fired it back up, and it's still there. And I'm like, what the actual fuck is going on? Like, is it broken or something? Um,
Yeah.
and like, I had literally gotten to the point where I'm like, I'm gonna have to rebuild my computer because I want to use this thing. The next step actually was going to go try it on another PC, and then
Yep.
see if it's like the actual headset. Maybe it's busted or something. And then after that was going to be all right. Time to rebuild my computer. But the issue with that is uh, a we record every week, and doing that is a fucking pain because it. We have enough problems as it is usually when we're rebuilding stuff and like, all right, what's
Yep.
happening now? So I need some downtime to do that. And B,
Yep.
I didn't want to do it a week before Cyberpunk. Like that seemed like a
Yeah.
bad idea. Uh,
Risky business.
anyway, and so that's kind of where I was. But I was ready to do this thing. And this morning I fired up my PC and noticed there was a new Nvidia driver out, and I was like, oh, cool. Let's go. I don't download it. I'll go check like the Reddit thread that says like, here's what it's
That's
updating.
fucked. Don't do it.
Yeah, don't do it. I've got like one of them for my TV at the moment. My TV has an update, and every time I fire it up, it's like, there's a new update, and the Reddit thread is like, don't fucking update your TV. This is this is broken. This one. Um,
Awesome.
yeah, so I checked the Reddit thread, and because if it's not giving me anything special, there's no real point to update it, as far as I'm aware, unless they're like game ready drivers for something that I'm playing at the moment. Which this one, as far as I can tell, isn't that. It's just for a new graphics card. Apparently, they're releasing, which we'll talk about later. But one of the actual known issues on the list was like VR stutters and lag, and I'm like, are you kidding? Like it's the fucking it's the Nvidia drivers that are causing this.
That is
Um,
amazing.
yeah, and so I know what the issue is now. It's basically like the 457 drivers, which the last lot was like October-ish, about a month and a bit ago. So if you're having stuttering issues or some sort of lag in VR, because I know there's people that listen to this that have VR headsets, roll back your drivers because that seems to be what the issue is at this stage. And I couldn't find anything on this that in the Oculus threads or anything that people were talking about.
Yeah.
So it's really strange to me. But at least I know what the problem is now, and I'll be able to jump in and check this game because I really wanted to play it.
Well, that's what you get for buying an Oculus.
For buying an Nvidia graphics card. AMD doesn't have these problems.
Nvidia's just doing their part to stop Facebook and its
From taking
dominance.
over.
That's it.
Yeah. So I can't talk about The Walking Dead Saints and Sinners right now because I haven't played much of it. I got past the tutorial,
Yep.
and that was about
No
it.
dispute.
To a point where I was like, "Well, this is not fun. Whatever's going on." Like I like some of the things they're doing, and
Yeah.
in that game, but also I was playing it sitting down because I was trying to fucking fix this thing, and playing that game sitting
Uh,
down is a little bit hard because you need to like
Bend
push
over
your
and shit.
hands down the side of your your holster and pull out whatever it is that's down there, or reach around your back and grab the
Yep.
axe out. You can play that game sitting. There is a mode for it, but if you're in a computer chair, that is very hard because you're hitting
Yeah.
like the sides of your desk and things like that. It's not
Yeah.
optimal.
Like their assumption is you're playing in sitting mode, and sitting mode is on a bar stool in the center of an enormous space
Yeah.
where there is nothing around. And you're like, at this point, wouldn't I just be playing fucking standing?
Right. Yeah. Because there was a moment. It's like there's a it's like a screwdriver or something on the ground. It's like you need to pick that up. I'm like, but I'm sitting on a chair. Like
Yeah.
if I do that, my chair is gonna fall over.
How do you figure I do this? Yeah.
Anyway,
Go.
so hopefully be able to talk about that again soon once I fix these. Well, they fix this problem. Maybe I just end up reverting back. We'll see. Anyway, I just thought I'd mention that in case there are other people having the same sort of issues because that definitely jumped out at me. Just quickly, I just wanted to mention World of Warcraft Shadowlands, which is now out. I had the chance.
Everyone been playing this, huh?
Yeah, there's a lot of people, man, playing this game.
Yeah, people are in.
I haven't played too much of it. I got past the first sort of introduction area. It sets up a lot of story, like that first, basically, like you take the portal and it takes you to this next part is all story setup. It lasts for about an hour and a half, 2 hours. There's pretty standard like grab this thing, go kill a bunch of these things, but it's running around with these characters in this universe that and then introducing you to like the big bad villain that is sort of overshadowing this expansion. And it's it's really good. Like I said, massive story focused emphasis on it, and because of that, there is a lot of voice acting in it. I don't know when the last time was you played, but World of Warcraft was very text heavy back in the day. They started to shift away from a lot of that. It's still there in the the massive dump of text that you get when you pick up a quest, but also they're going more towards like, all right, here's a something that's happening in this scene, and it's you standing around listening to someone talk. I guess the issue that comes around with that is you can't skip it if you're the type of person that wants to skip it because you're listening to somebody talk. But at the same time, like they're giving you dialogue to sit there and listen to, and while this thing is playing out. So that seems to be
you
something
can't skip it at all, or
I don't think you can skip it. Not as far as I'm aware. I mean, unless it's a cutscene, you can skip it. But this is like in game, like people talking to you and that sort of thing.
Well,
I'd have to look. I've not tried to skip it. Like, how would you do that?
I don't know. Why would you do it any other way? Like, do it like in fucking Assassin's Creed, where you can just fucking hammer through the B button when they're talking too slow.
Yeah.
Oh, very good English. Well, now we come down here as Danes, and we do what we do when we go Vikinger, and you're like, fucking shut the fuck up. I want to chop things with an axe.
Yeah. I play in a party as well, so that would be a bit harder. Anyway, it's
Do you talk over do you just talk while they're yapping? Or does everyone sit quietly to attention and listen?
I play with my wife, so I assume sometimes we're yapping over the top of it, but there's times we're saying silly things, and times when it's serious wow time.
Serious wow time.
Yeah, so we got out of that first area, we got to the first town, and that's where we sort of finished up at that. on that specific session, but yeah, seems cool. It's more WoW. People seem to be enjoying it, and I haven't really gotten to any of the newness yet. Like, what is it sort of doing, other than the whole level scaling thing, which I think is a really good idea.
Look, the squish, right?
Yeah, I mean, it means that you're going through these areas now and you're actually leveling up, as opposed to just like getting through this content and getting 4 levels in and being like, all right, I'm done. It feels like that old WoW experience where like this was area 4 to 6, and you'd be actually earning levels in that actual area, and making your way through it. So I don't know, that sort of stuff feels a bit better to me, and it means that you're like, it feels like you're making progress, as opposed to just spending so much time in this one area and like getting absolutely nowhere.
Yeah.
So that's a good fix. Anyway, I'll be talking about that more the next couple of weeks as I keep playing it. But so far it seems pretty good. People seem to be enjoying it. Yeah, we'll see how that one unfolds. But that's Shadowlands is out now. You're not enticed to jump back in at all? No.
I had been thinking about it because I've seen the boys, the fucking third person crew, have finally found the third person game of their dreams. Right. And they're all playing fucking non-stop World of Warcraft. And every time I go to, I think to myself, I should play some Warzone. They're playing fucking World of Warcraft. And I'm like, fuck that shit. But over time, it's sort of like wormed its way into my brain. I'm like, maybe I should just play with them, because they're talking about having fun, ganking, and all this kind of stuff. I'm like, I would love to do, like, world PvP is my fucking jam. That's basically all I ever want to do in any video game ever. And I'm like, maybe I should go. But you talking about fucking people yapping and me not being able to do anything about it? Hard pass. I'm out. No chance. Not a fucking hope in hell of me doing it if I have to sit there and listen to someone yap.
Yeah. Maybe you got to look it up and see if there's a way to skip it. But as far as I'm aware, you can't.
An add-on or something. Someone's created an add-on where you can just fucking
like
skip all that shit.
Delete the audio files.
Yeah.
All right. Anyway, that's Shadowlands out now. Assassin's Creed Valhalla, still playing this.
I've played so much more of it now.
Right. I guess the one big thing is that they put a patch out, a bunch of bug fixes, fixing issues with levels not working properly and quests not working properly, and just some minor stuff. And I guess the one big thing is they addressed one of the complaints we had, which was in relation to the skill tree. Previously, the way it worked was you would get skill points per level, you get 2, and you would then spend those points in this giant web of skills in 3 different sort of categories. It was like assassin, melee, and warrior. I don't know, bow and arrow, I guess. And sort of at the center of each of these little nodes, you would have an ability or some sort of skill or trait that would give you something new. The problem with that was you could never really get an understanding of where you were going, like what you were aiming for, what was the end goal in this skill tree. And so you could spend a bunch of points in this node, get to the center and be like, oh, this isn't really what I wanted. So I'll go somewhere else. And then you start going down like a different path, and then you eventually get to that node, and at the center is another skill that you're like, oh, I didn't want this one either. Like, that's not really the playstyle I wanted to do. And so that became a problem, which has now been fixed. What they've done is they have that fog of wall, or whatever you want to call it, is still sort of there, this shroud around the skill tree. But you can see the nodes now in the middle of those abilities. So you've got an idea of where you want to be going, as opposed to having absolutely no idea, which is such a good change.
Like, I logged in. That was basically what tipped me over the fucking edge into playing way too much of this game over the last fucking week.
Right.
Was I logged in and I went to pull up the fucking picture I had, the zoomable picture I had of the fucking web, the web.
It was on Reddit somewhere.
Yeah, and I went to go fucking do that, and I went into the skills, and they were all there. I'm like, oh, well then, fuck, this is easy. But it actually really worked to incentivize me to play more, because I actually felt like no longer like when they're on a fucking image on my fucking phone, right? You have to zoom all the way in, and you can only see sort of like maybe at most you can sometimes see one node away or something. And so you have to go find something you want out of all of this shit. And I'd be like, okay, Nate has talked up the dual wielding heavy weapons a lot. So I'm going to fucking beeline for that. And so I know I need to go over here, right? And so I just find that, and I'd like look at all this other shit, but I didn't absorb any of it.
Right.
And so I just go for that. And then I can't remember what the other Drew was talking about, one that was absolutely essential, and it has been a fucking godsend. Maybe slow down time or dodge or something. I don't know. Like when you get the perfectly timed dodge. Ludicrous, absolutely ridiculous, fantastic skill. But what's happened right now that it's all immediately available for me is I go into the skill web and I can like see, I can actually chart a parts of these things. And I'm like, oh, okay, well, I'll go through this. Before I was just like, I will chart the fastest course to the fucking dual-handed weapons, and I just fucking belt through some shit, and it felt like an obligation. But now I'm like, oh yeah, I'm gonna do this, and I'll go out here and get this one. Oh, maybe I'll like divert and get this stamina fucking blip as well, and like fucking adrenaline. Sorry, and like fucking do it that way, and it's been so much better for getting me to play. Yeah, really fucking good change.
So I'm going towards the one that's you can pick up like weapons that people have dropped after you've killed them or something and like throw them. I'm like, that sounds fucking cool. I'm going for that. That's the kind of thing it does now, is that I'm not sort of wandering in the dark being like, I don't know what I'm really going for. Now you've got the ability to see what is around you, and
actually I just remembered the one Drew was talking about is the one where you like when they throw a projectile at you, you can
catch it.
If you time it, catch it and throw it back. That's fucking amazing.
Yeah. Can you still block with two heavy weapons?
You parry.
Right. Yeah, because I shield and sword, so I'm wondering if I don't walk around holding my shield up. That's the thing. So I don't know if I need a shield at this stage.
If you're not blocking shit, just get a fucking another weapon.
I use it to parry people. Yeah, that's it.
I'm using well then fucking get a fucking second heavy weapon. What are you doing? The damage output is insane. I took Heath's the challenge thrown down by Heath's Gauntlet, which is fighting enemies that are like 100 levels above you.
Okay.
It's not a good idea, but it provides some interesting and challenging fights. I took on, the dog in East Anglia.
Is it a dog or a wolf? Because I'm fighting a wolf at the moment thing.
Like a rabid wolf in a big arena type thing? Or are you talking about like a wolf in Asgard? Because
it looks like a mix between dog wolf, not in Asgard. It's like a dog wolf in a Colosseum.
Yeah.
It's like a horse. It could be a horse. A very vicious horse. It's fucking brutal.
He's a grumpy horse. It's that was a fucking rough fight, but it was even rougher fight at like 70 levels below his level. He was able to like right near the end. Because like they're good boss fights. They're fucking good fights, man. They've done a good job with this shit, right? I find like it's still way too fucking easy. Like 99% of the time, this game is way too fucking easy. And the only times it gets too hard are when the enemies can one-shot me and I need like when they're a fucking ancient dragon level fucking boss fight, right? Like where you do less than a single percent of health with your best fucking hit, and you've got a fucking or one shot. And there's a lady. There's these three sisters, and one of them is like level 340, and nope, can't do that. That's 240 levels above me or some shit. I don't fucking know. But it doesn't matter how perfectly I play that one. It's going to take 4 hours of perfection for me to actually fucking finish it. But yeah, like this dog, way above me, and right near the end, he like it's not like they do like this thing where suddenly you know they're going to have a new moveset or something. It's just when you get to the 30% health mark, they suddenly start doing extra shit. And I mean, I was playing, I was in Discord with Drew and Heath while I was playing, and they definitely heard me swearing a lot because there were a number of times where he would do this thing where he would lunge, and it would like if he gets you, it does basically like 90% health.
You got to like mash RB or something like that.
Yeah. And then so that's fucked. And then he would like leave you on the ground. But the worst thing was when he's below 30% health, he does like a quick throw where he can pick you up off the ground, and that would invariably do the rest of it. But the worst, like what was the problem was he would do it directly after that first one, and it's an unblockable attack, and so I would get fucking black before I could even get back up off the ground, which was just, it just felt shitty, like a shitty way to. I killed him, and I'm mildly disappointed that the Xbox doesn't record your voice the way the PlayStation does when you save a clip, because holy shit, I was rude to old King Alan, but fucking I was way ruder to this dude, this fucking dog. Way ruder. What a cunt. Anyway, I belted him. It was a good fight. But that's it, right? Like it was a good fight, and I went and found a fight that should have been way beyond my ability, and I still managed to fucking do it. It took forever. I'll tell you what did it. Like even like the fight itself took forever, but it must have been fucking 12 to 15 attempts, and each of these attempts was like a 10-minute fucking affair. Like it was rough. But what did it for me was I've got like an ability to like add poison to my right-handed blade.
Yeah.
Huge, man. You get poison on this little motherfucker, and it doesn't matter. He spends so much. That's the problem with him, right? He spends so much time running around, right? And it's just wasted time that you can't do damage to him. But you get poison on him, and that's just time that he's getting damaged, and you're not in any fucking trouble at all. And it's good. It's good to have available. Anyway,
I left him. I think I fought him 4 times and was like, I'm good. I'll come back later. Because it was the 4th time that I died, and I realized when I looked at the number above him, I'm like, oh, he's 100 levels above me. I shouldn't be here. This is the problem I'm having. I thought that was like a trick, because I kept going. The thing with it is you can hit him in the leg like 4 times to stun him, and I could never get that last arrow to get in his leg. It was really he like never show that side of that leg. So I when I realized I wasn't supposed to be in that fight, I thought I'll see you later.
If you can get 2 arrows into him, you can parry his ass like super easy. He's got like his you can bait out the parryable attack. He's got a fuck ton of unblockable, unparryable attacks, but you can bait out the parry attack pretty easy. And so if you can get 2 fucking arrows in his leg, You can parry him super fucking easy, and then just fucking whack on him as much as you like. What I would do was I would parry, stun him, and then I'd apply the poison and just fucking wallop the cunt. That's easily the best way to do it. But yeah, anyway, yeah, good fights. Like there are so fucking. I was talking about this with I think Nate. How I swear to God, this game wants me to hate it. It wants me so much to hate it. There is so many fucking things it does that I fucking loathe.
You can skip chatting.
There is that. It does have that. But that's the thing, right? It does all these little things that somehow on balance, I keep coming back to it. But like all this shit it keeps doing, oh my lord. I still can't get over the traversal. You're just too fucking sticky, man. Like the amount of times I've been doing one of those dumb fucking chase the paper things, right? And I will, like, for some reason, instead of leaping onto the beam that I'm supposed to, I will leap onto some other fucking ledge.
Like a street pole or something.
Yeah, exactly.
Like, what are you doing?
Why? That's not where I was pointing.
It's like a mailbox on the side of the road.
Oh my God. And yeah, like, you just like, please, focus. For fuck's sake, I can't just restart this shit. I'm going to walk all the way back up there. And yeah, you're just like hanging off fucking street lamp or some shit. And you're like, well, I don't give a fuck anymore. Fuck that shit. It's just a dumb tattoo anyway. I'm never going to fucking use it. I'll just walk away. And then I get like fucking 100 meters away. I'm like, but it's still on my map.
Yeah.
Like,
if it showed you on the map that it was a tattoo, I'd be like, oh, that's good. But it doesn't. It just shows you it's like a little white dot. Yep. And so you leave and you come back, 4 hours later, and you're like, oh, there's a white dot over here. And you go, fuck, it's one of those tattoos again.
Fuck's sake. But yeah, the amount of times that's happened, or like you'll be, I'm just generally, I was climbing for a sync point the other day, and I got like all the way to the top of this tower and had a fucking roof on it. Like the tower had a roof on it, and you had to climb onto the roof to get to the fucking. And so I go to climb onto the roof, or go to leap onto the beam. I'm holding I climb onto the fucking railing because it's got a railing all the way around it, and I go to leap towards the fucking. And he leaps off into the fucking hay bale at the bottom of the fucking sink point. I'm like, what's the fuck just happened? I am going to fucking burn everything. I had to climb all the way back up, and it turns out you got to like climb on the outside and fucking do all this extraneous fucking climbing horse shit just to get onto the fucking. Why? Who put that one there? Right? Like, good one, dickwad. You fucking stitched us all up. Well done. Right? What was the intended outcome there? To make me hate the fucking traversal a little bit more, or what? Like, I just don't understand. The fucking those. Oh, I found the anomalies you were talking about. Last week you were like, "Oh, have you come across any anomalies yet?" I'm like, "Are those?" And I was way off, and I had no idea what you were talking about. And now I do. And again, you see like a fucking. It's a blue dot on the map, and you wander on up, and it's a fucking anomaly, and you're like, for fuck's sake. Well, I'm not doing it. I'm just not doing it. I don't give a fuck. Like, she comes over the thing, and she's like, oh, I found another one of those data points. And I'm like, I don't give a fuck. I'm here to be a fucking Viking. I'm not here to fucking climb over some fucking Tron shit so I can get some dumb solve some fucking light puzzles and some stuff.
Yeah.
Get the fuck out of here.
I've only seen one of them so far, so I guess that's a good thing.
I've found 3 of them, and I hate them.
Did you find the magic mushrooms yet?
Yes.
Yeah.
I brute forced one of them. I did I've found 3 of those as well. I did one of them the normal way, and then I did the second one. I just had to brute force. I'm like, I don't fucking know. What am I supposed to? what's indicating anything here? Like I've walked through one of the doors and teleports me back to the start, and then I walk through another door and it teleports me somewhere else, and I can't work out what it was about the door that changed, but it's presenting me with 5 more doors.
Oh, yeah, yeah, I've been to one of those.
I don't know. What the fuck am I like? I didn't work out the like it's like it's a riddle, but like the first half of the riddle. And 7 wives and 7 cats, and you're like, well, hang on, fucking say the start of the fucking riddle again. I missed it.
Like, do you have subtitles on?
7 cats or something. Fuck. And then you fucking like I just walk through one of the doors and it puts me back at the start. I'm like, I don't fucking know. I went through the same door again. Try the other door. Another door. Another. I just brute force this shit. I don't fucking know. I have no idea how I worked it out. I don't know what the clues were to indicate, right. But the other magic mushroom, like I've done 3. The other 2 made sense and I could work it out. This one I just fucking.
I think we're talking about something different. Mine was the one where you go off and you're looking for a guy who's disappeared.
Is
you come across like a like there's clothes on the ground and there's like a pot and stove that like with a fire and there's something inside the thing.
This one, right?
No. Yeah. Okay.
I'm talking about like the fly agaric puzzle ish areas. No, I haven't found that one. I haven't found haven't found the monk in the bard yet. I haven't found loads. I did find a couple you were talking about. I found the worst one. Luke, I found the fucking worst one.
Okay.
Did you find Thor Sluggerson or Sluggerson or some shit? Did you find that?
I don't think so.
Holy fuck. What were they thinking? What were they thinking with this one? It is apparently I had to fucking Google it. It's some baseball player, like IRL baseball player, who is standing there hitting rocks at targets while some kids cheer him on, and then you wander over and you shoot the targets with your bow, and it's like he is not even this is like Kevin Costner in Prince of Thieves type shit where he's not even attempting to do a fucking accent. He's just like, hey there, Viking, what are you up to? Why don't you try to hit these targets with your bow? And you're like, what game am I playing? What the fuck has happened here? I'm Thor Sluggerson, and I can hit these targets with these rocks when I hit them with my my club. And you fucking, what the fuck is going on here? Who thought this was a good idea? I don't understand at what point they thought this one was going to fucking work out. And then you get them, and you got to shoot 5 targets in 30 seconds, which might be the easiest challenge of all time. And then to finish, when you finish it with fucking 20 seconds to spare or whatever the fuck, he goes, well, twang, 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 twang. Ain't you? And you're like, what the fuck is going on in this shit? Like, and then the little kid's like, 2 champions. Oh, glory days. They're so good. Oh, we are so blessed to be in their presence. And you're like, this is the dumbest fucking shit of all time. How did this get through? Who put this mission together? Were they embarrassed? Do they cringe when they think back to it? Like when I think of all my many, many social gaffes, right? I'm like, I lay awake at night and I think back to the time when I asked the hairdresser if he had the day off as well, when he clearly didn't. And my mind shuts down. I go, fuck. Right? Is that what they're thinking? Whoever made this mission, do they lie awake at night and think to themselves, Thor Sluggerson? What were we thinking? What's worse is that I think this mission would have actually fit in Immortals, Gods and Monsters, Immortals Fenyx Rising. right? The other fucking Ubisoft game that came out within one of the three that came out within 3 weeks one another, right? Like it would have been a fucking perfect fit for it because it's kind of fucking that game's goofy as shit, and it's got like a more Saturday morning cartoon vibe to it, and yeah, why not have a fucking cameo from some baseball player nobody fucking know? Or I guess I don't fucking know. It doesn't mean nobody knows it, but like, yeah, why not? Like, it would actually fit there. Not in here, not in Assassin's Creed Valhalla. I just burned, before I came here, I murdered 8 people in cold blood. I walked up behind them with my assassin's blade and just stabbed them in the fucking, in the heart from the back, dropped them on the ground, lit the fucking church on fire, and then I walk up to twang, 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 and you're like, oh my fucking God.
Yeah.
Ooh. How did you arrive here? Crazy shit. Anyway,
that's the thing that kind of gets me with this game is that it feels like the least. I had said this a couple of weeks ago, like the least Assassin's Creed game that I've played, because it's just I don't think there's a big focus on the stealth combat and like the whole assassins thing. Because I'm just walking around, raiding every village that I get to, hit the button, and I'm fighting with, all the people in your clan and that sort of thing. I just don't see the Assassin's Creed part.
Where I wind up in situations where I will stealth through an area, I will stealth through a raid, right, and murder everyone in the village, and then call a raid because I need someone to help me open a fucking door, right? But I only do it that way because it is faster than fighting them the other way,
Really?
right? Yeah, it's just quicker that way.
Right? I just find that you get everybody out in the open, and then you just R2 everybody, heavy hit, and they all die in one shot.
Are you still playing on normal?
I'm still playing on normal, yeah.
Yeah, I've bumped it up to heavy, so it's a little bit, hard, so it's a little bit, a bit more tedious. The combat is still distractingly simple, but it's a bit more tedious, and so but they all die in one shot when I fucking stab him in the back, or stab him in the side of the head, or whatever the fuck, so I do it that way instead, but yeah. Yeah, it's a weird fucking game in that I don't the Assassin's shit doesn't really fit, right? Well, I don't understand. It doesn't need to be an Assassin's Creed game, right? Except for the other thing is, right? I still hate the storyline. I still hate all of the main storyline, and I loathe doing it. And I'm constantly doing anything else. But at the same time, the core part of the game where you're rolling around, you go to the order page on the menu, and you've got that listed people, and you work out clues about who a person might be, and then you go fucking murder them. That shit is the fucking best. I wish all this fucking making someone a king in East Anglia or fucking Oxenfordshire or whatever the fuck, right? All that shit just fucked off, and it just had this order page, and you just
the Assassin's Creed part.
You're
killing people.
Yeah, the only overall goal of this game is you need to, and then what they do is ramp up the difficulty significantly, and if you die, that person's your nemesis, and they inject the fucking nemesis fucking system into this game because it'd be fucking perfect for it. Holy shit, it'd be amazing. It'd be so good to have the nemesis system in a game like this, where you've got these random traits on these people. The fucking 90% of the time, right, when I find someone in the order, I'll wander up on them, and it'll be fucking Joe Schmo, eating a fucking sandwich on a bench or something, and I'll stab him through the fucking face and walk away, and it'll be like, you successfully killed someone in the order. And I'm like, yeah, fuck yeah, I did. But it wasn't much of a challenge. It could have been a challenge. He could have been hunting for me or something, right? I love the investigation part, and it should absolutely be a factor where if you roll up on them while it's like their off time, then you can murder them. But yeah, I don't like there's zero pressure. At one point, I got threatened with some zealots coming and hunting me down. Like, oh yeah, I put your name in some statue's hand, and now all the zealots are gonna fucking murder you. And I'm like, right. So what do I do? And they're like, go and burn the name before sunup of the next day, and you won't be hunted by zealots. And I was actually like standing there at the statue. I'm like, maybe I should just let it happen so that some zealots come and fucking find me, because it's just weird, man. Like I love like the clues they give you. They're like, he likes to hang out in the markets at fucking Lincolnshire or some shit, and you're like, all right, I guess I'm fucking heading over to the markets at Lincolnshire. You fucking hunt around there, and that shit's cool as shit. And they've got this giant world, and you can fucking do all that stuff. I mean, although I'll tell you what, not even close to enough fucking fast travel points. Like, holy absolute fuck! I thought when you're in fucking Norway or wherever the fuck it is, right? I thought that was pretty bad. I'm like, could be more fast travel points. Nah, get the fuck out of here. You got no idea. This game has not, like, why do I have to? I'm like, I know where I need to go. Can't I just travel directly to the town? Right? Once you've uncovered a town, once you've fully explored a town or some shit, can't you just go straight there? Why do I have to walk to some fucking sink point 300 meters away and then fucking ride across a bridge or some shit? Infuriating.
The like The Witcher did that, where you'd go to a town and you'd find like the sign of the town, and that would sort of mark it, and you could fast travel there. Whereas this is more like finding the sync points, and if there's a sync point near it, that's your fast travel. Or if there is a like a shipyard, a dock, that's like a fast travel point. But otherwise, there's really not a lot of places you can sort of just warp around to. It's pretty much just finding those individual things that are on the map. But that Nemesis system, I think that was, I'm not sure if it's in this game because I haven't really done a lot of it, but they used to have like mercenaries that would follow you around in Odyssey.
Right.
That if you did a bunch of bad shit, or like you're like as you were completing things in that game, you sort of build up like a GTA sort of notoriety 5-star rating system, and then they'd send mercenaries out for you, and they would have like special abilities and things like that, sort of like those are they the zealots? Is that what you're referring to?
Yeah, that's what the zealots are,
that sort of walk around, but those guys are kind of just more around the place.
I'm more talking about, well, apparently they can come hunting you, but
okay.
But I'm more talking about like the fucking Shadow of War, Lord of the Rings style Nemesis. I want that I just don't. Until we see it in another fucking game, I'm going to be continuously flabbergasted why it doesn't fucking. Why it isn't in everything? Like, why the fuck wouldn't it be in everything? It is a genius fucking system. It's crazy shit to me. I don't know. Yep. Anyway.
All right.
Anyway.
Anything else to add about Assassin's Creed? We're still enjoying it.
Yeah, I was saying, I hate it and I love it at the same time. I'm just like roped in. I played for a little while as Dude Eivor, and I switched straight back to Chick Eivor.
Okay.
Just Chick Eivor was better. I worry that I'm running out of
time.
Well, yeah, I'm definitely out of time, but running out of like things that appeal to me beyond. Like, my problem is, right, if the case is that I do not enjoy the core game experience or the main story, main narrative, which is true, I'm getting to a point now where all I've got left is the main narrative.
Right.
And I don't know how that's going to go because I just don't like it, man. I do not enjoy that part of it at all. And yeah, I don't know how that's going to go. The other problem is I found another game that does a lot of the same shit that I kind of like a lot better.
Yeah.
But we'll talk about that in a minute. So you've been playing Dead by Daylight.
Yeah. So you obviously got us on this train a couple months back, and I'm still playing it like every week. Usually every day, I'll jump in and do my daily and mess around. I talked about it a couple weeks back where I picked up some new killers, and I'm still acquiring new killers in this game. They give you shards or something like that when you're playing, and that's what you can use to actually buy new things in the game. So I haven't had to spend any money on these latest two killers that I've picked up. I've kind of just used the in-game currency from playing it. And so I picked up Ghostface and the Clown. So Ghostface is from Screen, and the way he works is he has this like stalk ability, which I'll go back to the very start. Dead by Daylight is a asymmetrical horror game. 4 survivors, 1 killer. Survivors have to complete generators in order to escape the map. Killer has to try and stop them from doing that. That's the game. Ghostface and the killers and survivors have different perks and that sort of thing. So Ghostface is able to use his stalk ability, which means that his heartbeat basically goes to 0. And if they are able to find another survivor and like use their power button for a couple of seconds, it will mark that survivor as exposed, and that'll allow you to one-shot them and put them straight on the ground. If for whatever reason during this stalk ability a survivor can spot you, I think it's a short amount of time, it's like 1.5 seconds, they will be exposed. The killer will sort of be detected and revealed. They'll lose that stalk ability, so all of a sudden their heartbeat will come back into play, and that power will go into a cooldown for a certain amount of time, so they can't use it again. So that's the sort of balance between how that works. And he's also able to use cover and like peek behind it as well. So there's like a leaning mechanic that goes on, whereas Michael Myers was kind of this killer that would kind of just stand there and you'd sort of just seeing him off in the distance, just like watching you. This is a bit harder to detect because his profile as a killer is a lot smaller, able to sort of hide behind cover and that sort of thing and peek out, which is an interesting mechanic. Because I think that's, as far as I'm aware from everyone else that I've played, there isn't like a lean mechanic or like nobody else has used the cover thing. It's just this one killer.
Yeah.
So that's kind of cool. Been playing as that. The other one I've been playing is an older killer called the Clown. He's able to throw these like bottles that explode on impact, and when they do this gas sort of comes out of it, and it means the survivors, if they run into it, they start coughing. Their vision gets a little bit blurry, and also it will slow them down slightly as well. Also, these killers have different add-ons that you can stick on there, so you can make those bottles do different things. Sometimes it'll give you different types of effects. So it's not necessarily just this one thing and that's how it works. Like you can change up the way they work entirely by putting these different types of add-ons on there. So he's more of like a chasing a bunch of survivors and like staying on them, because he's got this perk that allows you to block a window, so you can step through it and then that'll block the window off, that particular window, and then that means they can't loop it anymore, so the survivor has to go try and find another way to run around and escape. So you're doing that. You have to stay in close proximity by throwing these bottles, because there's like an arc to them, so you've got to really aim it. You don't know where they're going. There's no like crosshair that shows you this is where they're going to land. You've kind of just got to have a feel for it, and you eventually get the feel. And so it's all about that type of skill, and laying really close to your prey. And then on top of that, I've been playing a bunch of the survivors as well. Obviously, I'm main killer, but I'm still having a lot of fun playing as survivors recently. I think I'm down to like level 7 on a survivor at this stage, so I'm working my way through them, and I'm just finding it a lot more easy to navigate and things like that. Like I'm learning a lot about it from a perspective that I didn't before, like learning looping areas and getting to a generator and not just working on the generator, but in like, all right, what is my escape plan here? Like, where am I going if someone shows up? Where can I loop, or where can I get to a pallet and throw that down and then go? Like, then where am I going? And like playing it a lot more strategic as opposed to just being like, well, I'm just going to sit here and see what happens. Eventually they'll show up, but maybe we'll get away from somewhere. It's all about like the preparation and looking in your surroundings and then trying to figure out like, what do you do next? So that stuff is really cool to work through now. And a brand new update dropped yesterday, and they've introduced a new killer and also a new survivor. This one is called the Twins, and it is the first character in the game with 2 playable characters, I guess. The way this works is you start off as a main character called, I think it's Charlotte. Let me check. I think it could be Charlotte. Yeah, and Charlotte has this twin who is you're able to throw out as an ability, and then you switch to that other character, and it's a very small character, really low profile, and their ability, the smaller character's ability, is able to move around really quickly and do this like leap attack as a
Right.
power move, and if you latch onto somebody, it basically causes a bunch of different effects on the actual survivor that you catch on. And then basically what happens is you then switch back to the other character, and then you go hunting and trying to find this thing. And it does things like it can reveal other survivors that are nearby, and will like give you notifications. Like I haven't had a chance to play it. I've only done a bunch of like streams and watching and that sort of thing. But some really interesting mechanics there. If you're Victor, which is the little twin, if you're pouncing and you miss, a survivor can come over and kick you because there's like a stun location, and if it kicks you, you're basically like killed, and then you're back to the other character, and you can't use that ability for a certain amount of time, and so now you're just that one thing. But you can do really interesting things that I've seen streamers doing, where like you stick like Victor out as almost like a watchman. You kind of just leave them there, and as people run around them, it'll like give you notifications, and so you can start like switching between the two and playing really really differently depending on which characters you want to run around as. Yeah,
like your techies.
Yeah. The biggest issue with this is that it's flat out broken, this update. They've been testing this update for a couple of weeks now on the player test build that they do, and this to me feels like they wanted to get it out for their holiday event, which started yesterday, and they're doing this Christmas thing where you get blood points and shards and new cosmetic items and that sort of thing during the period of this Christmas holiday update, and a bunch of the issues that were recognized in the playtest build are still in this version of the game. Like the biggest problem here is that 2 of the 3 abilities on the twins don't work. Like they're broken. One of them is called Hoarder, and the way that perk works is that when a survivor interacts with a chest, you get a loud notification that shows you they're doing something in there. It also spawns 2 additional chests, and the rarity of those chests decrease. So the items you get out of them are lower. To begin with, the 2 additional chests aren't spawning. The rarity of them isn't happening, so it's normal rarity. So all you're getting at this stage is notifications. On top of that, the notifications are bugged. They're not working all the time. So that perk is basically not working. The second one they've got is called cryptograph, and that means that each time a
Cryptograph.
generator cryptograph, whatever, each time the generator is completed, you get a token as the killer, and you consume a token that allows you to do like a lunge attack, except the lunge attack animation isn't working at all. Like it doesn't work. So that ability isn't working either. So now it's busted. Like that whole thing is busted. The other thing is with Victor and Charlotte, if you throw Victor out, he is having issues where he's getting stuck on geometry, like in the actual floor of the maps. And so he'll just stand there. You can't move him around. At the start of, I guess this is going to be a thing where either the Dead by Daylight community embraces it, which generally they'll figure it out, or sometimes you just get dickheads that just won't do it. But if you come across one, usually you'll have like a survivor that will come and just kick it. They'll realize like it's stuck, so they'll try and kill it for you. But alternatively, they could just leave it there, and that means that you can't use that character the entirety of the match. The other problem is that, and this was discovered during the player test build, and I think they've made some tweaks to it, but they were having issues where Victor wasn't able to search lockers, and the lockers are used for survivors to hide in. And so what survivors were doing during the player test build is they would just, whenever Victor was nearby, they would just hide in a locker, and then Victor couldn't do anything. They didn't set up any animations or anything for that to happen, so they could just stand there and nothing would happen. And so you would then have this issue where, like, as a killer, you couldn't do anything because they were hiding in a locker. They've, I think, since made some changes to that, but now Victor is getting stuck in lockers and doing weird shit like that. So that is broken at this stage. It's just like and that's just the killer. There's a bunch of other issues that people are having, but like my issue with this is it's paid content. You need to buy it, or spend your shard points if you want. I have enough shard points to buy it, to get it, and I'm not interested at this stage because I want to see what happens once they fix it. But in this point in time, I would recommend people don't buy it. It seems to be a thing that the community is doing at this stage anyway, because I've not played against this killer as of yet. I played a stack of matches yesterday and I didn't see it once. So, I mean, hopefully that's a good thing that is happening, and the Dead by Day developers will see that as a problem, and they can't be doing this because it's not a good look. I don't think it should have been released. I mean, do your Christmas event. This killer shouldn't have been released in this state because it's broken. I don't know how long it's been broken for, but if these things were in there 3 weeks ago and they're still there today, it's probably not a good sign. But like apart from that, I'm still having fun with it. They've updated another 2 maps, did like the rework of it. They've definitely gone away from this whole darker, grimier sort of aesthetic. These seems to be a bit more brighter colored maps and that sort of thing, which, you know, it's not my aesthetic, not something I go towards, but maybe that's just the direction they're going with this game. They want a bit more action as opposed to hide and seekish. So
yeah,
that's what it is. But I'm still having fun with it. It's still an awesome game to jump in and play. Yep.
Yeah. Cool.
Any other thoughts?
No. I keep meaning to get back in, and then I keep getting distracted. I see you playing on Discord, and I'm like, oh yeah, I should check this out.
Yeah, just shoot me a message and we can jump in. All right, and the last game we've got on the list is Immortals Fenyx Rising, which we've both been playing thanks to Ubisoft sensitive codes for this. This one's out tomorrow, and as you said before, it is their third open world game in a matter of weeks. Could have been spaced out a little bit more, but that's cool. This game, I guess, has been sort of like attributed to maybe like a Zelda or that type of thing, but also having the Ubisoft sort of spin on it with what they're doing with their open world games. Should we talk about the actual story first? But it sort of takes place in this mythological Greek universe where you're playing as a character named Phoenix who has all the other humans in the world have been turned to stone, and
Yep.
you need to try and undo that and defeat the big bad in the game. At the same time, you've got two gods who are like narrating the story as it's happening, which
I
is
don't think.
Prometheus.
I don't
Yeah,
think he's
he's sort of like narrating it, but at the same time, Zeus is the other character that's there with you, and is
Yeah.
also putting their own spin on it. And it's a very
Yeah.
like goofy, wacky, like you mentioned before, like Saturday cartoon style aesthetic to it.
Animaniacs style.
Yeah. Like something will be happening in the story, and you see this quite early on where they're discussing and describing how this big boss fight happens, and then all of a sudden, like Zeus will interject and add a couple of more descriptors in there, and then that'll change the boss fight up a little bit. Like something wacky will happen.
Yeah.
I've seen that before in Borderlands, like Tiny Tina. The DLC did that with the Dungeons and Dragons one, where it had her voice narrating it, and as she would say things, they would change it up on the fly, and that would actually happen in the world. It doesn't happen as much in this game that I've seen so far, but that is something I would like to have seen them explore a little bit more. But yeah, it's a very goofy type child's cartoon premise, with a
But it's got
Zelda style combat.
it plays that like balance, right? It's a balancing act between like it feels like a kid's game, but it's got that subtle
adult
adult humor. Yeah, but it's like
Simpsons.
really underplayed. Yeah, or you know, Animaniacs, right? That is
Yeah.
like that style where like you have to be of a certain age to get it, otherwise the jokes are still there. I'm thinking of
Like Pixar movies do that as well.
yeah, like it's a pretty like classic one. Although I think they're going for a dirtier thing than I think Pixar ever really allows. But
Sure.
yeah, there's like one instance where some god had like I think it was like 5,000 children, and Zeus is like, "Oh, that's too many. That's too many. That's too many. You would. That's I've only had 54, and that is exhausting." And I think the children's version of that joke is he's got lots of kids and he's exhausted because he's got too many kids. But the adult version of that joke is that dude is exhausted from all the fucking he's been doing, and like it's really well done. Like I think they straddle that line really fucking well. Some of the shit like they go ham on like obscure elements of like Greek mythology and stuff, and they use it as humor. Like they play it for humor really well, and I think they just do a fantastic job with it. Yeah, like the writing in this game is fantastic. There is, I think, I agree that there maybe isn't as much as I would like, and they don't use the narrative elements as much as I would like, but when it's there, it's fucking fantastic.
Right. Yeah. And I think the like people sort of saying that it's a Zelda clone, like I can see that it's doing a lot of Zelda Breath of the Wild stuff. And you know, it's that thing of like it's that we were talking about before with the like the Dark Souls and people sort of going after those types of games. There's nothing wrong with sort of taking what others have done before you and trying to replicate that and add your own spin on it. And I feel like that's kind of what they've done here with Ubisoft Quebec, who is the main studio behind this, who made Assassin's Creed Odyssey as well. And so you end up with these elements in the game that very much you can look at and be like, all right, yeah, I attribute that to stuff that we've seen in Breath of the Wild. But also, I don't think it's done as well in certain aspects. But they're also doing their own thing on top of that. So I can understand why some people could be disappointed, because it is a very mixed. It's getting extremely mixed reactions on the internet. I've seen between like 7s and 10s, like all over the board. It's not like a couple of sites have given it like a 8 or 9, and a couple have given it a 6. It's a very like like steady pace of extremely split.
That is the problem with like games that rely on humor.
Yeah, like Borderlands as well.
if the humor doesn't work for you, then the game's not going to work.
Whereas I think the story here is like it's better than a Zelda story that I've seen in Breath of the Wild. I never
100%.
liked the Breath of the Wild story because it was so minimalistic and the I remember you talking about like Zelda's voice and just being this high pitched,
literally phoned in.
Yeah. So I think like the story side is being done really well, and how they lean into the Greek mythology stuff and characters that you meet. Like, I think there's a fight with, he shows up pretty early, but it's like, is it Achilles that shows up really early, and you're sort of fighting him, and he's like standing there, like jogging on the spot as he fights you, and he's got like a spear, and like you see a bunch of Greek characters that you recognize from that mythology that show up quite a bit.
Yeah.
You'll fight them, or you'll become friends with them and talk to them and that sort of thing. And the aesthetic itself is very much like that cartoonish style.
Colorful, yeah.
Like very vibrant. Doing things with the environment where it's like something like a giant turtle that you'll see, but it's a rock. Like that sort of stuff. I really like that aesthetic. You see it in like The Witness did that sort of stuff really well, where you look at an environment and you're like, oh, that's just a mountain. But then you look at it from another angle, you're like, oh no, that's a turtle. That's a giant turtle over there. I like that it does that sort of thing. But at the same time, it just feels like the exploration side of this game is sort of lacking. And I think that's one area that could have been one note. Yeah, it could have been done a bit better, because they do the go to an area and sort of this will reveal this location. The cloud will disappear. Yeah, it's a sync point, or a tower in Far Cry or something like that. But the difference here is you're not actually going through and then marking locations as you discover that point. It's like the Zelda thing where you get out the binoculars and you've got to look at an area and you've got to reveal those points. And that is a bit more tedious, because you're literally just going through and moving your viewpoint around, and whenever you find the hotspot on the map, you click the button and it reveals it for you. And it just doesn't feel as interesting as opposed to being in Zelda, where it's kind of like this, I'm going to put a marker here because that looks like something interesting, and it'll put a beam there, like a waypoint. You don't really know what it was. You just kind of go there, whereas this is like, it'll tell you there's treasure there. And so it feels like the game becomes a bit more less about exploration and discovery and more about getting to this point, revealing everything around you, and then being like, all right, well, what do I want to get next?
It falls into that classic Assassin's Creed trap of having too many objectives on the fucking available to you. It's just there's a tedious extra step in the way before you get there, right? Like you still have, like, if you do it diligently, right? Yeah, then it's still a cluttered as fuck map area. It's just you had to stand there for fucking 5 minutes tediously marking everything. The thing is, it's not a big a deal. It doesn't really matter that much. I mean, apart from, like, first of all, you can fucking, I don't know if you've cheesed it much, but you can just fucking waggle all over the fucking place.
You know what I do? And this will be a good little tip for you. I switched to mouse and keyboard.
Oh, right. Okay.
Because I'm playing on a controller.
Yeah, right.
Yeah.
I'm playing on Xbox Series X.
Okay. So I'm playing on PC on mouse control.
I'm probably good. There's controls for it.
Yeah. Because that is very tedious, but when you switch to a mouse and keyboard, you just move the mouse around, and whenever it starts to highlight, you're like, all right, yep, zoom in, bam, bam. And it takes like no time at all. It's a lot more finicky on the controller, because you got to sort of get that precision right in there and make sure
that's the thing, right? You don't necessarily, like, I just swipe across and hammer.
I just hammer it. You can do that as well. Yeah, I've been doing that.
Mark's a bunch of shit. That's enough me. As long as I find the 3 liars, I don't really care to find anything else, because I'll find it while I'm properly exploring. And that's probably my biggest complaint about it, is that if I could choose to not find all the chests and stuff, and if I could choose to just organically find that shit, I'd be much happier than if all I really want to know the location of those liars, so that I can complete those quests, and that is it. Or maybe the chasms or whatever the fuck they're called. Those
Right.
basically their version of shrines.
They're like challenge rooms or
Yeah.
shrines. That's something that's quite surprising is that they didn't have the Ubisoft exploration versus adventure mode type thing, where you could sort of flick that and be like, just show me the shrines, or show me the main objectives or side missions and that sort of stuff, and then the rest of it I'll just go out and find it. Like, I'll just discover it, because that is the thing, right? You get to a location and you're like, I know there's a chest here because I've marked it on my map already. Like, it's shown me where it is, and you're like, all right, well, where's the thing? How do I get to it? And then it's the puzzle element of being like, all right, I've got to light these fires in order, or like move this rock over to this pillar thing to make the weight heavier and that. So like, there's no sense of you discovering that because you know there's a thing here you need to accomplish. It's because it's marked on the map. Whereas in like a Zelda game, you kind of you get to an area and you're like, oh, I wonder if there's a thing here because there's a locked door or something. I wonder what's behind it. You sort of look around a little bit and eventually you figure out that puzzle. That's what this game feels like it's missing. And then it becomes like just going from point A to point B, getting the next chest, and it's extremely quick to get around because you get a mount super early on. It mounts really quickly. I like that a lot. Like, this whole, we've been accustomed in games getting on mounts and calling them mounts and then waiting for it to come to you, and then it being too far behind, and you keep running the direction. Eventually you get on there. Whereas this game, you just press mount button and it fucking materializes under your legs and off you go.
Yep.
It's like, sweet. Fantastic. I love it. It's so good.
I've got a glorious pink unicorn as my mount.
Okay.
I love it. Yeah.
I just tamed the first deer that I came across and was like, this is it.
Oh, deer. Oh, smart. That would be good. I only tried to tame horses. The only reason I tried to tame a horse is because I had like a daily mission, which I don't think should exist, but I had a daily mission to go tame a horse. And I'm like, all right. I'll tame 2 horses. I'm like, all right, well, there's a horse, and then I'll go find I'll tame 2 mounts, rather. But yeah. The complexity isn't there, right? Like, they've robbed the game of some depth by laying it all bare for you, like by over explaining it. And I think that's probably the biggest error that the game makes, is its desire to tell you how to do everything winds up making the game feel a little shallow in a way that Zelda never really did. And when you see that, it sort of also shatters the glass on how simplistic a lot of the other puzzles are, a lot of the other challenges are. And I wind up in a similar situation as I am in Assassins, where I am literally just trying to take fights for the sake of taking fights. I beat some fucking giant Minotaur boss dude, who I definitely shouldn't have been trying to beat when I took him on, but I fucking walloped him because I got an item that I couldn't actually use yet because I hadn't unlocked. I hadn't got far enough in the game to unlock that item yet. That was my reward for beating this dude, and I'm like, all right, well, fair enough. I actually thought that I had to beat him. There was like these constellation puzzles where you got to put these balls down in a certain pattern, and the challenge is that the balls are hidden away behind a variety of other puzzles.
Yeah,
and you've got to work out how to get them. And I thought he was guarding the final ball. And so I went ham to try to beat him. And then I beat him and I got this item that I couldn't use and I couldn't find the fucking ball. I'm like, I didn't need to beat him. But it was a good fight. It was a fun fight. I'm glad
there's some good fights.
Yeah. It was like there's, again, it's a game of stamina management and low threshold or like high impact violence, where you take a lot of damage very quickly and you need to manage that against the very small amount of the low threshold of damage that you manage to put out and so it winds up being a case of like nailing your fucking dodging or your parrying.
Parries, yeah. Building up that
and,
stun meter on them to stagger them.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah. And then like
one trick that helps build it, like the bosses tend to have a specific thing, like the Minotaur is just a giant version of other Minotaurs, and so as a result, he can, like with the other Minotaurs, I don't know if you noticed, but if you get them to charge into something, they instantly get stunned. He would get half a stun bar out of running into something, and so if you managed to get him to do it twice, then he would get a full stun bar, and you could wallop him as much as you liked.
Yeah.
Yeah, the stamina management thing is really clever in that what I really like about it is you can get stamina back by landing light attacks. Yeah, and I think it's so fucking clever because it directly incentivizes you to like not just press the attack, but actually use your light attacks. Because for the longest time, until this boss fight, actually, I was only using heavy attacks because I'm like, why the fuck would I not? Right? Yeah. It builds stun, it does more damage, and like, why would I ever use a light attack? And then I noticed almost by accident, that I could build my stamina. Oh my fucking god! I've got all these fucking. I've got like, I can shoot spears out of the ground, or I can dodge forward, dash forward, a shit ton of damage and stuff like that. But it costs me so much stamina that like suddenly, if I do it, I can't fucking like do other things. I can't like double jump out of the way of certain attacks and stuff. And so I'm fucked, right? And then I'm like, oh, if I light attack, I build my stamina back, and I not only can I do these special moves more, right, but I can also like double jump out of the way of a rolling wave of fire and all this kind of stuff. And I'm like, okay, that makes more sense to me. Okay, now I get it, because now I need to balance doing my heavy attacks and my light attacks and all this other shit. And there's actually, that's where the, like, weirdly, the complexity in Immortals Fenyx Rising is not in its puzzles, even though it's ostensibly a puzzle game first. It's in its combat, because you're absolutely capable. Like, there are puzzles that you can't complete if you haven't got the right fucking
something like that.
Yeah, or like upgrade or whatever. I ran into one literally just before this podcast.
It usually tells you, though, if you don't have it, when you get in there, it'll be like, you don't have the item to do this thing. You should probably leave.
You can finish the thing. You just can't get the extra chests or whatever.
Oh yeah, they've got like, sometimes you can go back and replay them and find extra things hidden in there.
It's annoying because I hate leaving it undone, and I worked very hard to get to the point where I could get to it, and then I'm like, oh, I literally can't. Like, the stitch up in this one is that you can see once you get to the top of this chest, once you get to this chest area, you can see how much easier it would be if you had this power. And to get there without it requires some fucking doing, but you do it, and then you're like, oh, right, I need that sucks. Anyway, but like,
going back to the combat,
well, that's what I'm saying, right? Like, there are puzzles you can't solve without certain abilities.
Yeah.
But as far as I can tell, you can beat every fucking fight with.
You've just got to use your dodging and abilities and that sort of thing, probably. But what I was going to say is, what I like about, I really like combat in this game. I think it's fun. The fact that you're not hamstrung by stamina is really interesting as well, because in order to use a special ability, you use up your stamina. But if you don't have enough stamina, it still lets you use it, and it goes into like a negative. And so there's like now a cooldown on like, you're in like the red zone of your stamina, but you get it back by then attacking. And so it's not this thing of like, oh, you can't use that because you don't have any stamina. It's like, you've got a little bit of stamina, you can still use it, but you're going to be in the negative now. I thought that was really fascinating, of like an interesting gameplay mechanic where I can use these two abilities really quickly, and it's not going to just be like me mashing it and nothing will happen because I can't accurately depict exactly how much stamina I need to have to get this one thing off. It's just like, you've got stamina, just use it and it'll work. Thought that was really cool.
They've done a great job there. Yeah.
The other thing is the enemies, you can like sort of sit back and watch them fight each other as well. That Zelda thing of, obviously a lot of references to Zelda here, but like I've come up to a fight and seen like just fucking a bunch of monsters fighting each other.
Yeah.
And shit like that. And I'll be like, well, I'm just going to wait here. I'll wait for them to finish each other off and then I'll go in and clean up the rest of them. Or things like you'll get into a battle and this giant like ogre thing will be swinging a tree trunk at you because he's gone over and pulled up like an actual tree out of the ground and is using that as a weapon now. And he'll swing it and like hit the other smaller enemies around him and do damage and things like that. Like the interactivity of the fight, like the destruction that you're sort of seeing around you, you'll do a big heavy swing attack and break a bunch of boulders that are around you, or like chop down a tree, and then you can pick up that tree and throw it at somebody. Like that sort of stuff is really cool. Like how the game sort of dynamically will change as you're destroying things.
In the very like first area, in the starting area, there's a griffin at the top of one of the cliffs, and it's guarding a chest. And you have to beat that griffin, and there's two other enemies as well. And the griffin can literally one-shot you if you go there at the start of the game. Like just straight up one-shot you. But because he does this like fire tornado attack that just fucks your shit up. And he does like this screech that also fucks your shit up, but that only does about 2/3 of your health. But so the fire tornado is a insta kill, and he does this sweep attack that is I think it's 99%. I think it might be like, you know how games do overkill protection, where if like an attack would do
100%.
Yeah, if it would do 98% damage and you've got 97% health, you will live with 0 health. I believe that's what's happening here. Yeah, I believe that's what's happening here, is that it will allow you to live through that attack, even though you probably shouldn't. And the best thing was the 2 extra characters were making dealing with this fucking griffin extremely hard. But if any of the griffin's attacks hit these 2 enemies, they were fucking walloped as well. And so it wound up being like this fight took me, I don't know, 7 attempts, I think. But it wound up being a case of immediately getting in and doing as much damage to these 2 other dudes as quickly as possible, and then baiting the griffin into doing attacks that would accidentally kill them for me. And because I've got like a helmet that does 150% damage on my on an attack on an unharmed enemy. And so if I would like sneak in and do a stealth attack, that already does 300%. I think it does fucking heaps of damage. So I could get like both these dudes, if I could position it correctly, I could get both these dudes to like half health from the fucking get-go. And then they still didn't take a lot of damage from me because I don't think I was meant to be there at that time. But I could get the griffin to finish them off for me, and then I'd be able to concentrate on him. And then the griffin portion of that fight just took me fucking forever. That was like the fucking dog in Assassin's Creed. Like just picking my opportunities. But he flies the whole time.
Yeah.
And so you got to wait and wait and wait. And
that's the thing, is that you don't get a good understanding of what you're fighting until you actually fight it. And I don't know if that's on purpose, because very much like Zelda, again, when you start that game, you get out of the tutorial area and then you get into the main world and you just start exploring and going out and discovering things. That's kind of similar here, where you're getting to an area and the rest of the map is sort of revealed. And I don't know if the game wants you to just go explore. Like, you can do those areas any way that you want, because there's no like, you got to be level whatever to be here, or any of that sort of thing. You'll occasionally get tooltips that'll pop up and be like, make sure you've upgraded your gear and your potions to fight this fight.
shit off. It was driving me fucking bananas.
Right. Yeah.
Holy shit! Because
I don't know if I don't know if these
right?
enemies are scaling or anything, or what's going on really.
You'd have enough fucking like resources to upgrade. I don't know. You fucking there's something you get coins, Sharon's coins, right? Sharon's Shaz's coins. You get Shaz's coins, and you'll be able to spend those to upgrade your god abilities. But you can also use them to upgrade like your basic stuff. Like if you spend 2 coins, you can upgrade your parry so that you do extra heavy damage when they do it. But if you spend 8 coins, you can upgrade your throwing rocks ability to also throw enemies, like small enemies. And so I'd have like 3 coins, but I'd be saving up for 8, and it's just constantly tool tipping. You'd be like, having trouble? Do this. Go upgrade your shit. I'm like, I'm not having trouble because of that, motherfucker. That's not the part I'm having trouble with. I'm having trouble because I'm trying to fight some fucking some boss, and I'm
not supposed to be.
Bro, like, get the fuck out of here and stop telling me this shit.
Yeah.
But you can turn it off. The options actually in this game are phenomenal. My biggest complaint about the customizable nature of this game, the only issue I have is that dodge and sprint are bound to the same button no matter what you do, because I wanted to put sprint on my left thumbstick button. I didn't want to have to, because I figured that would be better for there's like
you want to sprint, dodge, and then like jump off a cliff or something?
Exactly. Yeah, I need the extra fucking momentum required to make the jump, and I didn't. Yeah, I can't do it, and yeah, it'd be easier if it was on my left thumbstick, so I wouldn't have to fucking switch between buttons. Right. Anyway, can't do that. But otherwise, the fucking options are phenomenal, and you can customize loads of shit, even like difficulty level shit. Like there's loads of options. They've done a really
playing
good job.
On normal? Yeah, that's what I'm playing on. For me, that's the only thing about the difficulty is that the boss fights or the named enemies that you come up against, they're the ones where I'm like, I'm not sure if I'm supposed to be fighting it. Like there's no indication to be like, you shouldn't be at this level, or like I don't understand at this stage if stuff scales depending on how much damage I do, or like the area that I'm in. That's the sort of iffy bits for me that I'm not really 100% sure on. I went to the green area on the left to start, and I'm like,
yeah, me too.
That sounds like I shouldn't go to the fire area first, because that seems like a bad idea.
Yeah, I did. I had to go there for one of the items. I won't say what, but like the last item you receive, you have to go deep in the scary area in the middle, and there's some scary shit there.
Cool.
But you can sort of tell, like, there's not like levels and stuff to enemies, but you can sort of tell how bad a fight is going to be based on the coloring. They're sort of color coded. I don't know if you noticed that, like regular enemies, orange or red. Yeah, there are tougher enemies that are purple, and there are tougher enemies still that I think are green, maybe. And it sort of does it that way, and you can tell, or green and black, and you can sort of tell, how rough it's going to be from that perspective. But yeah.
Interesting. Right. Anything else you wanted to add in here before we wrap it up?
Do you know what's crazy? Is if you fucking Drew did ask this question 2 months ago. Dr. E3 Money sent us in a question on Discord for our questions channel. 1 or 2 months ago about the 3 Ubisoft games that are coming out. And I'm pretty sure I wrote off Immortals, and I'm pretty sure Immortals is my favorite of the 3.
Right. Wow, so that's surprising.
I just think the combat in Assassin's Creed doesn't have enough complexity to make it interesting over a long period of time. So I wind up in these situations where I'm deliberately taking, like Heath, taking fights that I shouldn't be, just to try to make things somewhat interesting. And I'm rapidly running out of other shit to do in the game. Whereas in Immortals, it's not like a incremental 400 point leveling system. It appears to be like
new
maybe
abilities and things like that.
And that's about it. So I can sort of just roll around. I wish the puzzles were tougher, because they're all pretty straightforward, and that's an issue with the game holding hands the whole fucking time. It's absolutely doing that, but outside of that, yeah, I think the combat's fantastic. I love the banter between Zeus and Prometheus. Like every time they start talking, and that in itself is incentivizing me to do like main narrative stuff. Whereas I like Ivor, but I don't have any interest in anything else anyone else is saying.
Sure.
So yeah, like
for me, it's the exploration.
Yeah,
that's the one thing that I'm like,
that is
wish that was better.
Each in its step, yeah. But apart from that, yeah. And Assassins definitely has that over it. Watch Dogs fucking did not finish it. Fucking who's that dude crashing into? Did you see that fucking Formula One shit?
Yeah.
Holy fuck! Did you see the indent the fucking Halo made on the railing? Holy fuck! That dude got saved by that shit. That's fucking wild. But anyway, yeah. Watch Dogs Legion crashed and burned on the first fucking lap. I did have some fun with it. It just never got off the ground. That game released way too early. They needed to do something to make the gameplay loop interesting in that game.
Yeah.
For like longer than the couple of hours it takes to be like, oh yeah, I get it. Pass it. Yeah, Assassins has the exploration, which is literally just I found Axehead, by the way, but like I almost feel bad about loving stuff like Axehead and hating that fucking baseball guy. Like, does that make me a hypocrite? I don't think it does, because Axehead is sort of tonally consistent, at least. You know?
Yeah.
And baseball guy is just fucking idiotic. Just don't. Oh, yikes.
Yeah. Anyway, yeah, I've really enjoyed Immortals Fenyx Rising so far. I'm having fun with it. It's, you know, it's hard to be like, and games cop this a lot, like it's trying to do the thing that this other game does, or like it's trying to copy Batman Arkham City or Legend of Zelda or Demon Souls or Dark Souls. And you know, Call of Duty, you run into those games where there's such big tentpole releases, and when someone else comes along that's trying to do something similar, they get fucking shafted in that corner. Like, well, it's not as good as this. It's like, well, they don't all have to be exactly like that. Like, this is still a good, fun game. It's not changing the landscape. It's just a good time.
Yeah. Slay the Spire again. I mean, that's it, right? Like, I think Immortals Fenyx Rising is a good game, maybe not a great game, but it could be a great game. Exactly the way we said, fix the fucking exploration, like pare it back a bit and allow players to actually explore, and it would be a great game. It's just that I don't think necessarily, like, it's a game that has no idea who its audience is supposed to be, because I think it's fucking rated M, right? And I guess that would be because of the violence. But if it was rated PG or G, fucking, you wouldn't even complain about this shit. You wouldn't even complain about the exploration, because you'd be like, this is obviously a kid's game, and they've thrown in some good gags to make it funny for adults as they play with their kids or watch, right? But rated M, I don't know. Like, I feel like I'm not the audience.
There's no blood or anything, right? Like, why is it rated M?
I don't know. It is what it is. But like, I feel like, yeah, I'm not the audience necessarily, but at the same time, I don't know who that audience is because the exploration is tuned in such a way that it's for children. It's rated M for some reason. Like
I'm
there's all
looking
this,
now.
yeah,
Themes and violence.
themes and yeah, right. Like
Language, mild impact language, mild impact sex, very mild drug use. I don't know what that is, but
I mean,
it looks like the two main ones are the themes and violence, which
I think
for
it's
me,
references, right? They make and like I think they might have gotten fucked by the board on this one. They make references to that's another one of those clever like fucking double entendres they do where like Zeus is like, oh, the last time I was that high, I did something. And Prometheus like, oh yeah, when you're high up on your mountain, and like they're like clearly talking about Zeus being like stoned, but Prometheus is also covering it by talking about him being high up on a mountain. And there's another joke layered into it as well, and like it's just really fucking well done.
So, clarification here: Breath of the Wild is also an M-rated game.
Well, then fuck. Yeah. It's a kids game, and I think they hold your hand for that reason. And I wish they didn't. But I can sort of understand why they did. Add an exploration mode. Add fucking Assassin's Creed's exploration mode, and this game is perfect in my opinion.
I guess you could just not use the binoculars, whatever they're called. Like, don't hit that button to zoom in and mark everything.
I wind up in a situation where I can't find the fucking last liar in an area. I'm like, well, this is my only option. Like, fucking one of them was like jacked off all the way in some fucking obscure fucking corner of the one of the islands. I'm like, don't think I would have gone there necessarily. I definitely would have missed this if I hadn't fucking seen. But yeah. Anyway.
Yeah.
Anyway.
Having fun with it. You know, it's just been interesting to see people's opinions. Very, very mixed across the board. I think a lot of people were sort of expecting like we said, Legend of Zelda Breath of the Wild, and being very extremely disappointed. I think that's okay to have, not all games need to be these blockbuster breaking new ground games. They can just be fun games.
It's a tricky one, right? Like it's one of those situations where I'm constantly shocked that more games haven't attempted to ape the Breath of the Wild thing, and it works, in my opinion, really well in Fenyx Rising. I didn't like Genshin Impact at all because it was clearly just like the Breath of the Wild stuff was clearly just it was a bait and switch basically. There was a little taste of Breath of the Wild, but it turns out it's really just a gacha game all the way through. This isn't that. This is an adventure game all the way through. It is its own thing. There is some gross monetization horse shit, but it's only customization. Like it's only cosmetics. Like I think that I can see, because I know one of the sevens that it got is from Cam Shea at IGN Australia. Almost the only game that Cam plays is Zelda.
Yeah.
That is his game. That dude has like the amount of hours we've got in fucking every battle royale combined he has in Zelda. Like he is obsessed with it. He fucking loves that game.
Yeah.
I can see, right, if you like it's the same as me going from fucking Dark Souls to the Surge, where all you can see is how it doesn't measure up. And so I can see why it would be a 7 for him. Right? I could see that, because if this was a Souls game, right, I'd be like, well, it's not, it doesn't really do it correctly, But at the same time, if you're not like obsessed with Breath of the Wild, if you enjoy the Ubisoft style of game, I think you're gonna get so much out of this fucking out of Immortals. I think they've done such a good job of balancing act between the Assassin's Creed style of game and the Zelda style. I think they do it really well. there are definitely some improvements that could be made, but otherwise, yeah. And final fucking clarification: be forewarned that if the humor doesn't gel with you, you're not going to enjoy yourself because it isn't a comedy game. It's not Borderlands, but that does have a heavy weight in
it's there a lot. Like you'll get into discover an area and those narrators will chime in and be talking over the top of the thing that you're doing. It's always very consistent. For the most part, like your character is not really talking, not really engaging too much. I ended up. Did you go a male or female character?
A male.
All right, I got. Yeah, mine randomized to a female character, and I was just like, all right, cool, we're going with this then.
Yeah,
just wasn't too sure what the default was. Anyway, yeah, that's Immortals Fenyx Rising. It is out. By the time people hear this, it should be out. It's releasing tomorrow. Definitely one to keep an eye out for. It's yeah, like we've said, really, I'm enjoying my time with it. I'm having a lot of fun.
Yep.
All right, we should do some news and then we'll get out of here. First up, Joab, there's a new Nvidia graphics card coming out. It's available today, the RTX 3060 Ti, and it's a card you will not be able to buy, most likely, just like all your other cards.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, I guess it's one option. Keep making new cards that nobody can buy. They went on sale at like fucking 11 hours ago.
Right.
Midnight this morning, I believe.
Pretty cheap. They're one of the cheapest cards in the lineup, $399 US, which works out to be 500 and something Australian, but they're charging 688 Australian at this point. So I think it was about $100 and something price hike in Australia.
To buy a 3060 Ti on M-Wave,
yep,
one that's actually in stock is, oh no, there's an $800 one. Otherwise, it's $900.
Really?
$900.
Okay.
Yep.
Cool.
Yep.
So they've price hiked immensely. I think the RRP was 688, right?
I think so, yeah.
Right
off the bat. Fucking.
That's nuts. The power equivalent is, they're saying, from some of the benchmarks that I've had a look at today, it's in line with a 2080 Super on the last generation RTX cards, which I was reading that it's very close to 2080 Ti as well. So that's sort of like what you're going up against. Eventually, if they do come out and you can buy them, maybe it'll be good for the price. But at this stage, it's yeah. Like eventually, when these cards come out,
I think it'd be fantastic for the price, but it's not. You never get it at that. Or by the time you do, the fucking 40 series will be up. Like, yeah, it's just fucking pointless, man.
Anyway, it's just strange to me that they're still releasing cards. I feel like this is their answer to the AMD stuff. Maybe that they would. Obviously, they've been working on this for a while, but they always had a plan to release something that was a bit more lower end, cheaper, that it'd still be a really good card. Like you know, even if I was to spend $400 or 400 US to upgrade, it's going to be better than the card that I've got at the moment.
Yeah.
So that is that news from today. Next up, we've got Square Enix says that Marvel's Avengers is not meeting their sales expectations, and in doing so, they've reported a 67. Is this billion or is it supposed to be million? I think it's. Did I write this wrong? $67 billion loss. That can't be right. It's got to be million. That
can't be correct. That would be ludicrous. No, it's got to be a million. Yeah. Even millions.
It's millions. Yeah, it's millions, right. Not billions. I was like, that's a lot of money. $67 million operating loss from the last financial quarter. I'll tell you what, I was wrong because I was saying this game was going to sell, and I think it did sell for that first month. It sold quite a lot, and
Yep.
it just didn't sell enough to recoup the amount of money they invested in this game. And I think by the time word of mouth sort of got out that this was not quite the thing people were hoping for, it was possibly too late for them to, uh, get those sales in, which is kind of disappointing because I enjoyed aspects of that game, and I think where that
Yeah.
game did fall apart was the parts where executives have gotten in and said this game needs to be made in this specific way, and
We want a game as a service.
yeah, and that's where it started to suffer. I really enjoyed the single player stuff that game was doing, and the sort of big um, set piece levels that you could play in that game, and then you could see the set piece levels that weren't in that game. Like when you get in there, and it just felt like a really shallow games of a service aspect level, and it just didn't fit with the other stuff that you'd already played. Um, and the bugs and that sort of thing that came along with that game. So I don't know. At the end of the day, I think that obviously we've seen games before it come out not do well, and then developers spend a bunch of time on it, fixing it, making it better, and eventually these things having like a second life. But I think it all comes down to whether or not they're going to invest in doing this, or if they're just going to be like, we cut our losses and that's it. And it could come down to Marvel being the ones being like, we're willing to put money into this to keep it going. So I don't know. What do you think ends up happening? Do they go like the No Man's Sky? What other examples out there? Destiny has sort of done the thing. Anthem,
Probably a better example. Anthem still hasn't actually
Diablo.
delivered. Yeah. Um, I think Marvel has the war chest needed to fix this, but I don't know if they want to or care to. I think they're trying to make a bit of a push with Miss Marvel, right? So maybe they actually do. But yeah, if I were a betting man, I would bet that they sort of let this one quietly die and push it to the side. Yeah.
Yeah, I always thought it was a bit strange to give the Tomb Raider team a game, give them a games as a service game where they're such good storytellers and action focused combat and that sort of thing. Which is, I think, the best parts of that game. It was the bits that they stuck around it to try and make it this long lasting service thing that just didn't fit for me at all. So
yeah,
a bit disappointing. Next up, we've got some Call of Duty Warzone info, a leak from this morning that I saw. Possibly a new map or some sort of maybe new gulag, or I don't know. It's really strange. It's called Rebirth Island, which looks like it's going to be a Alcatraz map. And at this stage, all we have is a screenshot that's been leaked out, and a lot of speculation as to what that means. Some people are suggesting that it's going to be a smaller Warzone map that'll take place, and others are saying it could be a transition between this and the new map. It's sort of a little bit up in the air, but I guess we'll find out in the next 10 days. And this is sort of all leaked out through a bunch of data mining and that sort of thing. People finding images in the game. Have you had a chance to see this yet, or this is news to you?
It was news to me. I just had a quick squiz. I don't really get it. I haven't seen enough information, I suppose, but I'm excited to see what they do with it. I hope they don't make a smaller map. I guess there are wasted parts of the Warzone map that I wouldn't hate to see gone, but I don't know.
What if prison is gone? They nuke it, and Alcatraz is on the corner now.
They fucking better not get rid of my fucking prison. Prison's the best location on the map.
We have Prison 2.0. What if Rebirth Island is they ditched prison and there's a new playable character and you can play as Nick Cage?
I'm in. Yeah. So in Nick Cage, The Rock, or Nick Cage escaping from whatever it's called. What's the one in Face Off?
Did he do Alcatraz? Oh yeah, I guess so. Yeah.
Sort of. Loves escaping from prisons on the water.
Yeah.
Um,
as long as you can wear those sick boots, those electronic magnetic boots that he puts on.
Oh yeah, beautiful.
Yeah. All right.
I'm Caster Troy. I'm Caster Troy. What a genius! What a genius!
Fortnite has kicked off Chapter 2, Season 5 overnight. I don't know if you had a chance to watch this, but they once again shut down servers for a very long time and had this big event at the end of it where I think it was Galactus. The World Eater from Marvel came and destroyed the map, and there was this giant like playable thing where people were they've been doing this Marvel character lineup in the game where you can pick costumes and that sort of thing, and then you could have this little mini game floating around at the end of this countdown event. I thought it was really cool, man. I've always said this, Fortnite do some excellent events, like wrapping up their seasons, new seasons. Like they're on point when they do all this stuff. I think it's really telling by the numbers they're raking in. I don't know if you saw some of these Twitch numbers, but it was nuts. And even playable, I think I saw 15 million concurrent players at one stage. That's bonkers.
15 million, did you say?
I think it was 15 million.
That's ridiculous.
But hey, this is the Gap news, so
yeah, it's true. There's no way. We thought Square Enix were operating under a $67 billion loss earlier, so who fucking knows? Man, I don't know. I'm starting to get really anti-Disney lately, and this I think Fortnite does amazing things, but fuck Disney, man. That's my overall takeaway. And Disney owns Marvel, obviously, but they just keep doing dog shit things over and over and over again. Just fucking the worst.
Do you know what they also own? Star Wars, Joe. They own Star Wars, and guess what? In season 5 of Chapter 2, the Mandalorian, Mando himself, is coming to Fortnite, along with the Baby Yoda.
He has a name now.
He has a name. I don't know if we can say it. It's a spoiler.
And I will never call him by his name. He will always be Baby Yoda. My wife got
that was a good episode.
Baby Yoda shoes. Yeah, it was a good episode. Holy fuck, the intro. Holy shit. We won't talk about it. No. Probably spoil it. But holy fuck. It's pretty cool. They've gone full fan service.
Oh yeah, this season is dumb. It's gone full Star Wars. Anyway, so yeah, that is Fortnite season 5 at the moment. But a couple of an hour before we started recording, they announced that Kratos is also going to be a playable character in Fortnite. Yeah.
What?
What? I don't know what's going on. It's insane. PlayStation announced this just before we started recording. Everybody is going to this game.
I'm so confused.
Anyway, I'm a fan. I'm a fan of the stuff they do in that game. It's just insane, wild, ridiculous stuff that is always happening. Did you get a chance to watch any of the end of the world event that happened?
I watched a couple of clips, like people flying around in battle bus and shooting fucking things or whatever.
Not your jam?
It looked. Yeah, I don't know. I just feel like if I was signing on to play some Battle Royale, wouldn't I want to play Battle Royale and not some fucking half-assed shoot 'em up?
Yeah. Oh, I thought it was cool. The whole fucking Galactus rising up over the horizon. That stuff looks sick. Could you imagine they did that sort of thing in Warzone? Holy shit.
Holy shit. It wasn't it's not like he was actually there. It was just
he was there. Think he was there.
All right.
And the last piece of news, I wasn't going to put this in here, but I have now because there's sort of a lot of people talking about it. Cyberpunk 2077 is out next week, as we've been saying. And one of the news pieces we talked about last week was that people started getting copies early, and that seems to be still going on. Looks like Best Buy in the US started shipping out copies already. I saw some people on Twitter today posting photos of that. And in response to that, I guess CD Projekt has come out and stated that while people are very, they're very excited for people getting their hands on these games at this stage, they're asking people not to stream in them early and put spoilers out there and that sort of thing. Before the actual release date, when everybody gets a chance to play it. And it sounds like, and it'd be interesting to hear your thoughts on this, but they'll probably be taking down videos. That's usually what happens on places like Twitch and YouTube, where this stuff starts to appear. You won't be allowed to stream this sort of thing. What's your sort of thoughts on that? Should this be a free-for-all thing, or is it like we've got a date and that's sort of the date everybody should adhere to with streams and let's play videos and that sort of stuff?
Yeah, I guess it doesn't strike me as very cyberpunk to adhere to whatever the man wants.
Right.
That's a bit of tasty irony, but I understand what they're going for. They're obviously just trying to stop spoilers from getting out and about. I think they're stuck between a rock and a hard place in that they want everyone to experience it at the same time. But obviously, street date breaks, street or whatever the fuck they call it, I can't remember, will complicate things somewhat.
Yeah.
And you just got to fucking deal with that, I suppose. It's a bit tricky, but yeah, it is what it is. I wouldn't want to see. I don't want the next fucking 10 days or 7 days to be a fucking nightmare of, can I click on this fucking link, or is it going to be 3 seconds of Rick Astley and then 15 minutes of like balls deep spoilers? Cyberpunk, yeah. Like, fuck it, right? Like, screw it.
Yeah.
The release date is the release date. I don't think any street date break has ever been outside of that. So yeah, I'm okay with it. But
yeah. I mean, as long as they're out there saying this stuff as well, not just removing people's content off the bat. They've given people warning. I mean, this is generally how things work usually as it goes. They're just making it most people more aware about it before it starts going.
Yep.
And that is the news. We got any questions this week at all? I think we might have.
I hate to send us another fucking text
virus. Oh gosh.
Heathy writes, I just exceeded the character limit, which isn't a question, but he has attached a text file, so let's have a squiz.
Does he know you can press enter and then keep writing?
I think he's worried that if every thing doesn't end with a question mark, he's going to be in trouble, and he is correct. All right, here we go.
Is it all in leet speak this time?
No, happily, he has not done that to me again.
Punctuation?
Somewhat. He's hit carriage return after at intermittent points for reasons I can't understand. I don't think it's being word wrapped. It's not being word wrapped. He's just done it. Anyway. Hi, Luke. Hi, Joab. What's been happening? Ha, classic. Anyways, I've been playing Madden 21. Actually, I've played more fucking NBA 2K21. Oh, and a correction from last week. FIFA was not out on PlayStation 5, and that's why I couldn't find out how to download it on the store.
Jeez.
That was on me, and I would like to formally apologize. It still did take me a number of attempts to get the correct version of NBA on, and I've got no idea how many attempts it's going to take me to get FIFA when it's actually out. But it being out would be a significant help for me being able to acquire it on my PlayStation. Anyway, I've been playing Madden 21. Hoo boy, things have changed since Joab and I were Madden, some might say. Not me though. That's fucking stupid. But I digest. I just had lunch. A lot has changed since those days.
I'm calling it. We're ending this. We're in this question.
Me playing as the Tennessee Titans, using quarterback Vince Young as an extra running back because Joe seemed to hate when I did that. Joe playing as whichever team was his flavor of the year, which was usually whoever had made it to the Super Bowl that previous year. Good times. Hey, fuck you, Heath. That is fucking horseshit. Okay, I did not play as whoever was the fucking Super Bowl, whoever won the Super Bowl that year. You were playing with fucking Vince Young and Chris Johnson as two, like the fucking fastest man on any fucking football pitch. And you'd play it like it was fucking rugby league in the dying seconds of a fucking state of origin game where you just fucking pass it backwards over and over and over again. And I wouldn't be able to fucking do anything. So I had to blitz over and over and over, like non-stop blitzing. Because if I stopped blitzing, you would just fucking hand it off to Chris Johnson and he'd run in for a fucking touchdown. I didn't have any fucking choices here. I had to find some way to fucking stop you. And my boy Marshall Faulk, I think it's fucking stitched up that somehow you wouldn't fucking make any mention of the fact that I played the St. Louis Rams the entire fucking course of Marshall Faulk's career. But no. As soon as he fucking retires and my favorite player is no longer playing, I have to find someone new to fucking follow. And Joe's just doing whoever. Meanwhile, you're playing with the Madden cheat code. You might as well be playing with Jonah Lomu with the fucking All Blacks, right? Oh, absolute fucking horseshit. Fuck you, fucking whoever fucking won the Super Bowl. I was just trying to find some solution to the nightmare that was Vince Young and Chris Johnson on the same fucking team at the same fucking time when you played it like it was a fucking rugby league. Anyway, good times. The biggest change I noticed was the presentation. It is immense. The pre-game stuff, the halftime show, it's all just on a level I haven't seen in a sports game before. Even the actual commentary that the announcers have recorded are impressive. I was on defense, down 49-0. What? 5 yards out from my goal line with 1 second left in the game, and out of spite toward their eye, I called a timeout. The commentator said, "Well, it's rather silly, but the defense have called a timeout." Another time, I skipped the halftime show just as the announcer was introducing it, and he said, "Oh, well, never mind that. Apparently, we're getting straight back into it." Then the next time it was, "Oh, a guy can't even finish his sentence. We're going straight into the second half." I guess in an NFL game, they only have 32 teams to worry about, so I imagine there's a lot more assets of time that they can allocate to things like presentation compared to something like FIFA, which covers over 700 teams. So this got me thinking, where to now for sports games? NFL, FIFA, NBA 2K, maybe NHL, but does anyone but Steve Iver play NHL anymore? I believe he means Steve Wright. They all have their creator player modes, franchise modes, and what have you. There's tweaks to the actual control of the individuals on the field. Madden has so many different things you can do to control a player. I find it overwhelming. But unless you want to introduce individual control of a player's legs, there's not a lot more you can do there. Improve the game day presentation, which Madden does spectacularly already. FIFA could take a few lessons there. And change the creator-player story arc from year to year. But other than that, I feel like sports games are at or fast approaching the pinnacle of their genre. Can you guys think of anything different that you'd like your favorite sports games to do, or something that you think it really needs that would really amp you up for next year's release, graphics, performance, and rosters aside? I sure can't. What do you reckon, Luke? What would you like NBA to do next year that would really ramp things up and take it to the next level? What is NBA missing that you think it needs to have that would blow it all the way out?
I guess for me, removing VC would be the one thing that's never going to happen. But I want to see my career changed like a lot. They've done a very, like, the last couple of years has been a bit goofy, the things they've done in there, and I feel like it's always been that, but I'd like to see something maybe a bit more serious. And then on top of that, it generally stops, like, the storyline is not that long. It's pretty short. You've usually got, in case of this year, the high school games and then the college games.
Yeah.
And then you've got a couple of the basketball games that sort of start, and the story really disappears pretty soon after that, like it rolls credits type thing.
Yeah.
I think it'd be more interesting to have that sort of a bit more of a longer tail as well. Um, I don't know that because I've always enjoyed like that sort of thing, but at the same time, I guess not everybody is there for that. They just want to play their basketball, my player character,
Yeah.
and do all that sort of stuff. So I don't know. I don't know what the balance is to for people that want to not just play the basketball side, but do all like the drafting and having some sort of story in between. But for me, the story is too goofy at this stage. I want to see something a bit more like enough fucking dead people and like listening to their thoughts and shit like
Yeah.
that. Like
Yeah.
they did it this year with like the dead dad, or I think he's dead, right? He's not around anymore.
He's dead. So
Like they did that. They did Ghost Best Friend a couple years back.
like, they keep doing it. It's weird. Move on. Find a new narrative device. Like throw a dart at a board on fucking TV tropes or something, and choose something else to do apart from Ghost Dad. Cosby references aside, it's not. It just doesn't work that well. But yeah, I think they could. I have always thought that sports games would be a phenomenal way to address some serious issues in the sports at hand.
Mm-hmm.
I've always thought that you could do some really interesting stuff with that. The problem is that they're, I guess, tied to the license, right?
Sure. Yeah.
Do a Madden game that dealt with CTEs. The NFL refuses to acknowledge the fucking or pays lip service to the impact that concussions have, and you couldn't do
or something.
Yeah, drugs or bet match fixing Tom Tim Donny fucking scandal because and the NBA refuses to fucking deal with that shit. But the fucking storytelling implications that would provide are off the fucking chain. And yeah. Or, the other thing I'd like to, they're also not going to do is, I don't think any basketball player wants to see themselves Paul Georged, but I would love to see them ramp up the ability for players to get injured. I want to, especially in a game like Madden or something, I want to see people get fucking wrecked. And instead, it feels like they've gone in the opposite direction. Even the Madden 21 has this goofy, I think it's 5-a-side side game that you can play, and even there the hits aren't that big, and I think that's a bit odd. NHL is probably the only game left that has really big hits, and even those are muted compared to the hits in the real NFL. But again, that's NHL is probably the best example of a game trying to curb, trying to play down something that they're trying to curb in the real sport. In that, I think they are attempting to wind back on the size of the hits because the NHL itself is trying to limit the impact that concussions have on players, because obviously people's brains are getting fucked up. I think that's probably the best way you could go about it, is use it as a tool. I mean, even just something like FIFA, right? Ages ago, I said I pitched that they should bring back the dive button in FIFA, and that was fucking years and years ago. It's probably the only article I've ever written where long tail I still get positive emails about, positive comments. People were like, such a good fucking point, right? Every other email or comment or message I get is hate, but that one, holy shit, that really resonated with people. But that would have been a fucking perfect, because the idea is, right, yes, obviously it could be abused for hilarious results, as it was in FIFA 98, when you can dive and or headbutt people, if I recall correctly. That might have been 97. I don't know.
Headbutt people or dive, one of the two.
No, you could do both, if I recall correctly. But you could you could use that to highlight how big a problem the diving is, and I think it'd be fucking huge for the sport to really illustrate how bad an impact it has on the sport itself. And I think that's one area where they could do it in gameplay without it being a huge deal. Although again, FIFA probably wouldn't allow it to happen, even though they allow it to happen in every fucking game. Yeah. Anyway.
Yeah. For me, it's like the small little like game breaking illusions where you can see the like cogs working behind the scenes and being like, oh yeah, this is a video game. The one that stands out for me the most is when in NBA 2K21 or the 2K series, you're playing an opponent and you can see them waiting to set up a play. And it's the players getting into the position that they need to. And so you've got 4 players standing around doing nothing while this last player is running to get to that point, but you're maybe defending them and stopping them from getting there. And you can see this computer doing nothing for like 6 seconds while this one character runs around. It's those moments when you're like, oh, I know they're about to run a play because I can see them waiting around and doing that sort of stuff. And that breaks that illusion of this being like a good, like, somebody can walk into the room and be like, oh, you're watching basketball. And you're like, no, I'm playing, that sort of thing. Like, and I guess that comes down to AI and things like that. And hopefully we see some improvements in that section.
That would be the biggest
forward.
area they could change is AI.
Yeah.
Even like using machine learning. I know machine learning sort of it gets brought up as a bit of a fucking, hey, you can fix everything, but like use it like they're already stealing all our data every time we play. They're tracking everything we do every time we play. Use it to track how the best players play, and use that to do like a fucking Forza, like Drivatar type thing, but for how a person plays. Imagine if I could play your fucking version of basketball.
You'd hate it because it's just me going in the post every time, just backing down a player.
We'd be 2 fucking mirror matches, identical play non-stop, or non-stop. If it matched off my player game, it'd be one dude just posting up over and over and over again, and setting a screen non-stop when he doesn't have the ball. But yeah, anyway, like I think that'd be a phenomenal like change, because the other thing is it would also allow them to see the weaknesses in their game. Like it'd be very easy to see, oh, okay, so when we look at the most successful AIs, this is how they play. It doesn't look anything like basketball, right? And they could tweak the game to a point where the most successful AIs would have to play a game that resembles basketball, right? That'd be fucking phenomenal. I think it'd be amazing. Yeah, that'd be really cool.
All right.
Anyway, question, like, Heath, well done. And also, fuck you for that fucking bullshit about me picking the. Like, I didn't even pick the team that, like, half the time, if I recall correctly, I didn't like half the fucking teams that won the fucking Super Bowl. Like, most of the time, they were just fucking, they were shit. And they had shit quarterbacks who I didn't like fucking Roethlisberger or some shit. Right? Like, it was like 09, 010. Like, 010, just fucking flat out 10. Like, fuck you.
Yeah.
Anyway.
Speaking of choosing super teams, I think the Lakers might be a super team for a couple more years.
Couple more. Holy shit. Yeah. Bron's back for 2 more years.
3.
At max. 3. Oh, he signed an extension on his extra year. Oh,
yeah, it's an extension. So it's this year plus he did have another year after that. That was a player option, so he's extended it.
It's wild. It's bananas.
So yeah, I think he'll be 30. I think he'll be 39 when that contract ends. And then I think after that, that'll be the year when he's like, "Where's my son playing? Let's see what's going on."
Yeah. Let's go fucking the James boys.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's pretty huge though. And they've been making money moves as well. Put together a team. And then the Warriors, they ain't got shit. They're done. Clay's out, so that one's over. Just got to worry about the Nets, pretty much. All right.
Yeah. I mean, the funny thing is that the Lakers didn't have a free agency last year, and this year they did. You're in trouble now.
Yeah.
Anyway, I guess that contract extension possibly means that no Giannis, right? Unless something insane happens. Unless he wants to take a pay cut.
Yeah, no way.
Yeah. Anyway, basketball starts up in 2 weeks.
I know, right? Bananas.
This is going to be an interesting season. There's going to be people. There's definitely I think there was 2 Warriors players that have tested positive yesterday.
Really? Yesterday? Fucking.
I think yesterday, yeah. So it's going to be I mean, basketball outside the bubble. Good luck. Good luck. I mean, Kawhi's going to be down at getting those. What was he getting? Or was it Kawhi or Lou Williams that was out at a strip club?
It was Lou Williams.
Jeez.
Yeah.
Anyway, good luck stopping that. All right, that is the questions. Is that all of them, or is that just? Are we done?
That is it.
That's it. All right. That's the podcast. You can find us on iTunes, Android, Windows Store, Spotify, YouTube, everywhere you get your podcasts from. Search for The Gap or the GA Podcast. Like we said last week, you're on Amazon as well. Audible, all those places. Amazon Music.
We're on Audible.
It's. I don't know. I put a link up. I updated our page on the website and all the places or a bunch of the places you can download us from. So you can go to there. Otherwise, you'll find us on the Gap, the GA Podcast. Please rate and review the show. Helps other people find us. It means that we get more listeners. So just keep that going. And you can also find us on social media, facebook.com/the GA Podcast, twitter.com/the GA Podcast. You can also go to our Discord page, thegapodcast.com/Discord. You can leave us questions on there or jump in and just chat about games if you want to. Playing video games late at night as well. A bunch of voice channels. If you would like to watch this podcast in video form, you can go to thegapodcast.com/YouTube and watch this podcast in video. Last week we put up some VR, what did you call it? Zero latency gameplay. From Joab shooting a bunch of people in VR.
I think it was mostly my wife.
All right.
My wife fucking ripped in the clip I sent you. She was fucking slaying them.
Yeah. I'll chuck some. I'll chuck some. Immortals Fenyx Rising. I've already got some video of that. I was going to chuck some Dead by Daylight. I had a good clip yesterday I was playing, and Shadowplay didn't work properly. But I was being extremely rude to a killer who was standing on the inside of a room, but the side of the walls, I could see them, they were barricaded up with wood, but you could see through it. And I knew he was in there somewhere. And I noticed that he had undetectable, which means that if he stands there for a really long, 3 seconds, he becomes sort of he's not invisible, but his heartbeat disappears. And I could see him standing in the corner, and I'm teabagging and pointing at him. And I don't think he realized until he turned around and saw me. And I was like, oh man, that is unfortunate. So I have to get some more Dead by Daylight footage because I've been playing that a bunch. Anyway, Immortals Fenyx Rising will be up there, and maybe some Monster Train if I can dig through some of that as well. Anyway, it's a good time on there. You can also find our website, thegapodcast.com. It's got links to all those things we talked about, including past episodes of the show. And that is all thanks to our Patreon members who help keep the website running and the podcast going. If you can go to patreon.com/thegapodcast and become a recurring member, and you get the podcast a day early, usually, if there's no embargoes. But thank you to everyone who does it every month. We greatly appreciate your support.
You're the best.
Have you got anything you'd like to spruik for this week you've been working on?
Yeah, it might be pretty controversial.
Okay.
But on Red Bull, I have argued that game help in Demon Souls demonstrates that perhaps Souls games do need an easy mode. That's the title. That's the clickbaity title. But basically, it's talking about it's just arguing that there should be more accessibility options,
right,
in Souls games, because basically 2020 has shown that they're like a wealth of accessibility options just provides for a game experience that works for more people. And
right.
at the end of the day, what I really want is more people to play Souls games.
But didn't we talk about this before, where those Souls games are already on easy mode, and it's when you go and like hit the gong that it turns it into hard mode and that sort of thing, or normal mode?
Yes, but mostly I'm talking about like the ability to see enemies in dark areas and stuff like that. Just for people with vision impairments and stuff like that.
Right. You're talking about like Naughty Dog, Assassin's Creed accessibility options, that sort of stuff.
1000%, yes. The ability, or the audible cues, stuff like that. Like just to enhance the experience so that a broader array of people can actually enjoy the games. And arguing largely that the idea that that it impacts the experience doesn't really hold any weight, because it doesn't. I mean, it's such an easy thing to fix. Arguably easy. Anytime a game, like a game critic, says it's so easy to fix, they're not talking about, all you need to do is change one line of code, blah blah blah. Easy mode equals yes. No, like obviously it's hyper complex to do anything in the game, but like the idea it is not that difficult to conceive of. It's an easy one to conceive of. But yeah, that's because it is what is it? Fucking today, Thursday, is International Day of People with Disabilities. And so
that sounds like you're making that up.
No, it's legit. It's UN recognized International Day of People with Disabilities. I believe that's how it's written.
Persons. International Day of Disabled Person?
International Day of People with Disability.
Oh, okay.
3rd of December. Disabled persons. I see what you're saying.
Yeah.
Whatever.
Whatever.
Yeah, so, I don't know. Just sort of.
Yep.
Sort of seemed like something that would go okay and raise awareness of the day. So yeah.
Cool.
That's it.
For me, you can go to survivor.com. Steve has done a website update on there. You can go check that out. I also wrote a couple of paragraphs on NBA 2K21 last week, which you can go have a look at that. It's just about next gen changes and that sort of thing. Very brief, super brief. Otherwise, you can find me twitter.com/Luke Lawrie. You're at Joby Jojo. And I am. I think that is the podcast. Until next week, we've got hopefully some Cyberpunk. We're getting rid of Job's not going to be here, but we'll figure that out. And then the week after,
more Cyberpunk.
Yeah.
More Job and more Cyberpunk the week after that.
Yeah, a lot more. Like just Cyberpunk. It's going to be exclusively Cyberpunk, unless it's really bad. What if it's terrible?
It'll be a lot of Cyberpunk, a lot of bitching about Cyberpunk, and but only if it was bad, or if it's middle of the road, or shit, it's me. I'll be back, so it'll be bitching regardless. That's what I do, Luke. That's what I bring to the fucking table.
That's all the people come for. That's all they want. Joe Brand. All right.
That's it.
Thanks, everyone, listening. See you next week.